Hello and welcome to the MinnMax Show. I'm Ben Hansen, joined by Kyle Hilliard.
Whoa!
Cyril Vasquez.
Hi.
And Jeff Marchiafava.
Hey.
What are you doing here?
Just like old times.
Yeah. Now, where were we before we were so rudely interrupted?
Jacob Geller.
Who the hell are you, Jacob Geller?
Now I'm a man who makes YouTube videos and puts them on the internet.
And then we have Kelsey Lewin. Hello, Kelsey.
Hi. I'm the only non-Minnesotan here.
And Leo Vader.
Hey, thanks for giving me the most excitement.
I have waves of realization of like, oh, we're so fortunate to have you, Leo. Thank you for being here, sir.
God bless you.
It's not just a new voice, but a new official cohort here at MinnMax, out of the blue, Janet Garcia.
What is good? I'm so excited. I do feel a little bit like the new kid at school, but I'm excited to be here.
Haley McLean.
Hello! It's me, it's Sarah. I'm back.
Sarah Pazorski, welcome to MinnMax.
Thank you for letting me at the big kids table. Thought you saw the last of me? No, sir.
Well, if there was a community to manage, I'm glad it's this one. I mean, you guys have clearly fostered a super awesome group of people.
We made a thing. We have made an outlet, and it's a huge thanks to everyone in the community who has made that all possible. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 300th episode of the MinnMax Show, a place about games, friends, and getting better. I'm Ben Hansen. Thank you for joining us. If this is your first time, thank you. If this is your 300th time around this rodeo we call going around the sun, then thank you for being here. I'm joined by Jacob Geller.
It's my 300th time.
I'm joined by Haley McLean.
I had a soundboard up for this Death Stranding sound. No, I'm messing it up. To do a like, to a thumbs up, and I pressed BB, this is all my fault button while you were doing the intro. And it was like, BB, this is all my fault, and I frigged it up, sorry.
And the person whose fault it is, we have Kyle Hilliard joining us as well.
Sorry. My hair changed a lot in that intro. That was my takeaway.
Yeah, really? I was just watching your Arkham Knight spoiler cast at Game Informer, because it just turned 10 years old. I'm like, I wonder if we did a video about that. And it's very fun to see you, and I had the reaction of, oh, Kyle hasn't aged that much. Look at him. Look at him doing great in his 20s. He's looking stellar. But thank you all for joining us. That's not a new intro for the MinnMax Show. That's just a callback to some olden days of ours. But thank you for joining us on this journey, supporting us as we've grown, added new folks into the fray, out of the frying pan into the fire, as we call it. And we have a lot to talk about on this here episode, and we're going to get to all of it. But just for a little tease, we're going to be adding somebody else into the MinnMax fray next week. We have another guest cohort, a limited 1-month affair. They're going to be swinging by and joining us for our content next month. So stay tuned, everybody, for a special guest cohort. Same as what we do with Alana Pierce at the top of the year, right? I'm excited for this one. It's somebody who, it seems like over anything, they're most excited for like pitching new show plus ideas, which is like, that is the venue for this. I'm so excited
Who
to
in the
have...
game industry does that sound like? Who loves pitching?
Still understand it immediately. But on this very
That's
episode...
guessing Kojima. Is it Kojima, Ben?
You got it. On this episode of the podcast, Sarah's going to be joining us later on. We're going to be talking about Dead Letter Department. Kyle, do you want to talk about Survival Kids with me?
Yeah, I'll talk about Survival Kids with you.
Heck yeah. We're going to talk about Peak, the game taking over the internet. We're going to be talking about Lies of P Overture. Jacob, this is back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sweet.
That's a good DLC name.
It is very good. And, of course, the biggie for this week is Death Stranding 2, which is strangely fitting.
Say the full name.
On the beach.
On the beach.
On the freaking beach.
We
Call
are
Nicki
about
Minaj,
to...
I'm on the beach.
We're here, everybody. But Kyle, it's kind of fitting because you remember when we launched MinnMax back in 2019, like the second game that we talked about really on the podcast, on the second episode of the podcast, was Death Stranding 1. It was like right when the first game launched.
Wow.
And so it's a nice synchronicity for a 300th episode.
I weirdly think about that a lot, or maybe I was thinking about it a lot because I've been playing Death Stranding 2, but I remember Suriel was the only one who got an advance copy for whatever reason. I don't remember the situation, but it was still in that stage where no one really knew what Death Stranding was about. And I remember sitting there looking at Suriel and thinking like, he knows what this is. Like, he's played it and beaten it, and I still have no clue. And I remember being like jealous and also impressed and like excited to see like what does Suriel know that I don't know?
I guess like the film industry has it, but it's such a fun specific video game thing of just like being so into a medium that just knowing that somebody's brain is holding information that yours does not have will drive you mad. Like even just like
specifically with Death Stranding though, because it was so opaque, like before.
Like what the hell is this gonna be?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And we were going to do it for the deepest dive to kick off the whole thing at MinnMax here, and then Dan Reichert was playing it early, and he's like, "Don't, it sucks." I'm like, okay, we'll switch to Outer Worlds.
Great.
And now he's
good thing we listened to Dan.
He 180'd harder than anybody's ever 180'd in their damn lives.
Doesn't he historically love that game?
And he historically has always loved it, Haley. Don't check the record books. He's always been number one defender of Death
I feel
Stranding.
like the weird thing about Death Stranding being like opaque before it came out was like, actually at some point they did basically tell us what the game was going to be, and all of us were like, yeah, but what's the game? You know, then they were like, it's walking around and making deliveries, and we were like, okay, but what's the game part? And,
Yeah,
and
but
now
once
we
you
know
leave
that is
once
the game
you leave
part.
the boat, what does it become? You know.
And now Death Stranding 2 on the beach is out. Kyle, you have finished it, correct?
I have. I've been studying Jacob's Clear Obscure Deepest Dive to try to stay as like stone-faced as possible and
Perfect.
not betray any details.
We do not want any
the
expressions.
master, you know, you got to learn from the master. But
That's
yes,
right.
I have finished it, and you can find my review on GameInformer.com.
Sweet. What'd you give it?
An 8.75.
8.75. Haley, how far are you in Death Stranding 2 on the beach?
40-something hours.
Okay, and you're around that ballpark too, Jacob?
Yeah, pretty close actually. And I Kyle told me how many chapters there are, but like I feel like I don't know. I have no idea like how far through the story I am, even though I know what chapter I'm on. It's like
Me
it has
too.
a very kind of confusing structure.
Yeah. How has your journey been, Jacob? Diving into On the Beach after much anticipation.
It's been great. I'm having a blast. That's the headline here. I have been surprised at how much of kind of a straightforward sequel it is. In a way that I was kind of, it's like Kojima really has had limited opportunities to do sequels to different IPs. You know, he's made a bunch of Metal Gear sequels, and then other than that, whatever.
Is it on
And
the
all the
Enders?
Metal Gears are pretty radically different from each other.
Yeah.
You know, like none of them are kind of like, well, this is the expected thing after the last one. And Death Stranding 2 is, I think, in that like, if you love Death Stranding 1, this is more that great Death Stranding world. And if you didn't, I'm not sure it's going to win you back. But like, I like Death Stranding 1 so much, and there are things that this game is doing that just kind of, it is fun that it's like an iterative sequel on this completely kind of out there idea for a game.
Yeah, and I think there's kind of the headline from previews and stuff of like, oh, it's more combat focused. It kind of feels more like a Phantom Pain than Death Stranding 1 and stuff. And so it's fun even like booting it up.
You want it to be.
Right. And then jumping into it, it's like, oh no, we're still just kind of slowly trekking across Mexico
I
here.
think
Okay.
that those I understand where those reports are coming from, and we can talk about them more, but I think it has been significantly overstated how much more emphasized combat is. That like it went from like 5% of the time you're doing combat to like 9% of the time, but you're still primarily walking around making deliveries.
I think
Okay.
the difference there is that the combat feels so much better. You're more inclined to actually go fight people, therefore it feels like there's more combat. I'm in the exact same camp as you. I absolutely adored Death Stranding 1, which I did not anticipate because my partner made me play it as a joke, and then I was like, wait, this cooks. And I loved it, and I beat the whole highway. I finished the whole highway. I remember I was doing my bar prep while I was playing that game, and just like listening to, it was during COVID where all my, classes were just recordings that I would listen to, just like learning. Like I literally remember case law sometimes of where I was on like a mountain when I was playing Death Stranding 1, which is like how my brain like connects things sometimes, which is crazy. I love me some delivering in Death Stranding. There is something about this game that just feels so good to play. I'm hauling stuff all over the place to finish the highway. That's why I'm kind of like Jacob. I could be 10% into the game plot or like 50%. I don't really know because I'm doing all the side stuff so much that I can't tell. It's and I think what's great about this is if you are somebody who loved Death Stranding 1 and you know you're going to be coming back for 2, the quality of life changes across the board are just everything's better. Like gathering things is better. Your bike is better. Ladders are better. Like anything you can do in this game is better than the first one, to the point that they're not trying to like cut out the middleman of actually delivering things. Like they don't want to just skip you delivering things. There is punishments now for if you use like your ship to deliver something instead of doing it by foot, you get way less likes and stuff like that. But they're just trying to make everything feel better. Like example, the tiniest thing is like before when you were driving on your bike and you wanted to pick something up, you had to come to a stop and then Sam could lean out and pick something up. Now I can be driving 100 miles an hour and he just goes and grabs it while I'm driving fast. Like, of course, like why not just do that? It feels so much better. It's great. There's just 100 versions of those kind of changes implemented. So if you are the delivery type of person,
trucks, I feel like we're a lifesaver for me. It's just like an automated turret that just like grabs packages for you while you're driving around. Yeah.
No brainer stuff. And you're just like, this is perfect. You don't have to have a shower to make grenades anymore because they have synthetic blood. Because like, I don't want to go have a poop every time I need to refill my things before I go to a BT area. You know, obviously. I just want to have new ones. And they're like, sure, here's some synthetic ones. Just make some in your local setup or whatever. And I'm like, perfect.
But they still want you to watch him shower because they still want to give you those Kyro crystals.
Yeah.
I've seen the first second of that cutscene so many times. It's insane.
I know. I'm like spamming hold X.
I'm not skipping it. I skip lots of cutscenes, but not the showers.
God, man, I was thinking about how much longer that game would be if like you just let all the cutscenes play out. If you watched him shower every time, and if you watched him drink his canned drinks, the animation is him drinking like the full canned drink.
Yeah.
Wait, but why do you? What gameplay benefit does drinking the canned drinks do?
You get like a little bit more extra. You get a little stamina boost.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 25%
I've been sitting in
stamina.
hot springs. That's where I get my stamina boost from. I'm just trying to get Sam naked in as many situations as possible.
Wait a sec.
So, Kyle, with your full game perspective, without revealing anything that's going to dampen anybody else's fun, I mean, is it Death Stranding 2, on the beach, smoother, bigger version of Death Stranding 1? Or is it a situation of like, oh, there's a lot more in here, actually, if you really are digging in?
I'm maybe a little different from you guys in that, like, I don't love Death Stranding.
Right.
It is a game that I like. Like, I was happy to finish it, but it's like, it was also one of those games where I was like, I'd be happy if I don't have to deliver a package again anytime soon. Like, I didn't feel as strongly about the gameplay, but I love the tone and the world and the sort of the design, especially. Like, I really usually don't get so locked into how like everything looks, but like I just love the way everything looks and sounds. Yeah. And there's a scene in Death Stranding 2 where a character uses like a cell phone, and it's just like you just see them delete a picture on their cell phone. And like even that was like fully designed. Like they had like taken the time to think about the UI, what it would look like in the world of Death Stranding. So like all that stuff I love. But I was similarly surprised in the way Jacob was, that I was like, oh, this actually isn't that much different, right? I was surprised by how like iterative it was, to the point where they even have a lot of the same like structure of how the story is delivered. Like there's sequences in Death Stranding 1 where you fight Mads Mikkelsen in like a separate area. Right. Like those that kind of sequence exists in Death Stranding 2. And like Haley was saying, they're all better. Like everything feels better. And I was kind of surprised by that. But I really don't want to go too deep into the story. But like there are things that like I was kind of I didn't love. Or it's not even that I didn't love. It's just that I was like, I kind of expected more.
Narrative wise.
Yeah. I think that so far, being not all the way through the story, I think the biggest ding on this game that I have, they're kind of two, but like, I think the story is less. I'm just enjoying it less than the first one. And part of that is because the first one had so much incredible world building to set up. You know, like the first cutscene with the BTs in Death Stranding 1 is like one of the most incredible cutscenes in a game, both, you know, cinematically, but also because of like the ideas that it's setting up. And then you go out into the world and you're like, wait, this actually affects, you know, everything I'm doing. That like the time fall does make things age, and you have to like hold your breath if you get close to BTs and all of the stuff that you're seeing in this cutscene and then you're doing. And this game, because it is largely set in the same world with the same rules, you know, everyone knows about those things. And so you don't really have as much kind of like, there is this idea of like the plate gate, which we've seen in some trailers, and I think that's really neat. But largely it is there's not that much new that they're introducing to kind of like the lore of it. And I think that the written narrative is pretty weak thus far in kind of the Kojima game thing of it's just a lot of characters saying exposition and not really behaving like human beings.
A lot of monologues.
Yeah, and so it's like the tone of it is as strong as Death Stranding 1, but since none of it is new, I think that it is kind of a weakness that I'm not having the same number of those like awe-inspiring moments as the first game. Although getting later in, those are coming just from the environments now in a way that is kind of staggering.
Yeah, and so you're exploring.
And I will say the ending is strong, right? Like Kojima is good at ending a game, and it is like there's a lot that happens in the last like 3 or 4 hours that is engaging and interesting and exciting, you know?
Yeah. And so you're exploring a whole new continent. You're going to Australia, but it's still kind of doing the basic thing of delivering packages, connecting everything here, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Like,
the same gameplay loop.
Yeah, really similar to Death Stranding 1, but it's much bigger, and there are more environmental types. And can we talk about the weather in this game?
Yes, we need to talk about the weather.
Talk about the weather.
It's quietly maybe the most next-gen feeling game that I've played. I mean, like, not only the first time that you gain control of Sam was the first time in a long time that I've been like, wait a minute, I'm playing?
Yes.
This isn't pre-rendered? Like, that first just scene.
Oh my God,
vista.
Because like the shots of just like, you know, the drone footage or the flying footage of going over, you know, southern United States in the beginning, I was like constantly back and forth with each shot of like, this is live action. No, I think this is in game. I think this is live action. So then when you're still kind of on that fence. And then suddenly it's like, okay, now this is in game. And it's like the best looking dry mountain I've ever seen in my damn life.
Like
it's
direct
ridiculous.
Sunlight has never looked this good. And then you see a sandstorm like 2 miles away.
Right.
And as it just slowly rolls towards you and over you, and then you're in, you know, Mad Max Fury Road, or, you know, having an earthquake happen and like seeing rocks on a distant mountain, like tumbling down the mountain. It is just like it rains and the rivers get deeper and faster. And it's just all of this stuff happens in a way that's like, how is it this seamless? How is there not like a cutscene transition to make this happen?
It's kind of what
I think a lot of people slept on Horizon Forbidden West because it's like they go back and forth with this engine, right? This is the engine that's licensed from Guerrilla.
Yeah.
So like Zero Dawn looked really pretty, and then Kojima took it for Death Stranding 1 and improved it a bunch, and then they took it back and made Forbidden West, and the weather system in that is amazing, which I feel like a lot of people didn't talk about, but it was like, you know, similar to, not as extensive as this. This has freaking like bushfires that had me panicking and like running for my life and stuff. I was like, this is real. But it's kind of fun to see them flip back and forth and almost like learn from each other. It's like the nicest co-op little game dev, like AAA game dev situation I feel like I've seen. And it's just, I kind of love just the premise of that, of just like, let's share this thing. Oh, you're doing it that way? That's neat. Yoink, I'll do that over here in my game too. And they're just both learning from it. I think that's why it's so strong. It's just like they're leaning on Guerrilla as well for the improvements.
Yeah, no, I'd love to hear from Guerrilla, like how specifically this team has added to the engine of even like, okay, if they're going the multiplayer direction for the future of Horizon, which it seems like they are, is that just baked into the engine now because of having the mingle player nature of Death Stranding here, of like just a little more online.
Ben, a Strand game.
I'm sorry, a Strand game's what we call it these days.
That's not
Jacob.
ironic anymore. I think that's real. I think that's a real term we can use now. We talked about this a few months ago.
It's better than transfarring, right? That one kind of fell aside.
No.
I mean, what were we gonna
Strand, I'm okay with, you know.
Strand game.
I like when
sense.
I see Strand mechanics in other games now.
Oh, do you know what I did in like the early embargo time? Is I spent a lot of time putting really helpful stuff in the beginning areas, and that little green menu that shows likes doesn't stop now while I'm playing. It's just like
no, I know. I've built so many roads that people are like liking them, and now I'm putting zip lines everywhere.
It's so satisfying. Good. It's fun.
I think that I want to go back to kind of what Haley was saying about the quality of life stuff here, because I've read some good reviews that have already mentioned this, like Jesse Vitelli's review, where like I think this is actually going to be kind of a point of contention, is that like the game is easier and smoother in a lot of ways.
Right.
And that's not, you know, in the way that we talk about good friction in games, that's not necessarily a complete positive. You know, that like currently I'm in a section of the game that the environment is really intense and I'm not able to build roads and I'm not able to like regain my stamina or, you know, fast travel my ship around. And I'm having the most fun that I have in the game. You know, and I think that like some of these sanded off edges, how early they give you vehicles, how capable the vehicles are of like driving over the landscape and whatever. I think there is going to be a camp that's like Death Stranding 1 is better because you are less empowered. And I haven't quite decided.
Live in that camp, to be clear,
I know, but
I basically got on a motorcycle and never got off.
Yeah, but you don't do any of the side stuff either, Kyle. So
in other games, I'm not much of a side. I will say, after finishing the review, this is a game that I've gone back to and continued to play, which is always sort of like a really positive thing to say about it, right? Like I did get back out there and I wanted to deliver more things and follow more threads and that kind of thing, you know. So I did start doing some of the side stuff.
Yeah. To think of that thought too, Jacob, it's kind of tough to do the sequel of the game where you use tools and not give you all the tools you're used to using in the first like 5 minutes. Because if they hadn't given me that bike in that first area pretty quick, I would have been like, "Where's my bike?" Like I would have just gotten really bitter. I think it would have gone. I know exactly what you mean in that it was really fun to suffer for the first 5 to 10 hours of Death Stranding 1 before you got the bike, because then it's like, I've earned this bike. That you almost can't relive that again in 2, otherwise it would just be to a detriment. It's kind of like the same thing with the world building lore stuff that we just don't have anymore. Like I kind of hate that I'm like, BBs are 7 months old. They are taken from the still mother at that time, and then the mother is kept on like I just know everything about the lore, but it was so fun to learn that, and I had a lot of fun learning that in game 1. And they can re-add new things. There's chiral animals, and they're talking about the tar, and there's new things to learn about. But nothing really goes back to when I was playing that first game, and in the first few hours, I was like, what the hell is going on? And it was fun to get fed little lore nuggets. Now they have the built-in corpus, do they call it? The database, so you can reread
really
things.
comprehensive.
Really comprehensive, really good. I watched like 6 hours of Death Stranding 1 lore explanation videos because it's been like 5 years since I played it. And I was like, I want to remember everything about this. I want to know Amelie's freaking, like, what's like Scorpio cancer? What is she? Because that affects things.
That's why you were underwhelmed by the lack of like learning things, because you learned everything.
But I was going
into the corpus and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's cool.
I did learn those things already. I just needed a refresher.
Yeah.
But I do miss that feeling of like, you know, what's dooms? That's a weird noun they're throwing around. And now I'm like, level 2 dooms is when they can see them. Level 3 dooms is when they can feel them. You know, it's like, I know too much about it now, almost to the point that it does make it harder to connect with it in like a whimsical way, which I really loved about 1. But I don't think there's any way to bring back that feeling unless you were to completely change the world that you're in now and all the lore is different or something.
Well,
they're adding enough nuggets.
Know. Because it's like, I do think that there is kind of a smoothing out of that as well. And like the combat thing, you know, it's like there's optionally more combat. The combat, just shooting people feels much better. You've got more options. You can do that, whatever. In Death Stranding 1, the plot conceit was if you kill someone, the effect on the world is so enormous that it creates like a permanent crater in the landscape forever. You know, that it's like, and it was, I found it this really kind of striking idea of like, you know, the Metal Gear Solid games have always kind of played with killing being bad, where it'll throw that in your face, or you can play non-lethally or whatever. But this was like, here is what we are setting down for us. Like, killing is an atomic bomb upon the landscape, you know. Right. And in this, and it was like, and you really had to figure out, like, they gave you a gun, and then they were like, if you use this to kill someone, you have to like divert your entire quest and take them to a crematorium, or it will destroy the world. And in Death Stranding 2, I have not got a single gun that is not non-lethal. Like, I don't even know how I would kill someone in this game.
You can run over them with your car and it kills them early on.
I guess I would have to like throw them off a cliff.
You have to try, yeah.
and so it's it's a little disappointing just thematically for me to go from this idea of like a death being so meaningful to like shoot this guy in the head, you've got rubber bullets, you're only gonna knock him unconscious, is like, it's more fun, but I think it's less interesting. And it's just kind of like one of those things that I'm still figuring out how I feel about the sequel as a whole.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah.
So you have like the big base thing that you're building up, like the
Magellan?
The Magellan.
The Magellan.
Is that changing the core gameplay in a huge way?
Yeah, because you can fast travel ceramics across the map and freaking build the highways in like 5 seconds now. It's awesome. I could just, nice, you shouldn't be using that for the deliveries, and it punishes you because it can fast travel to certain locations around the map via the tar. So if I pick up a delivery at like North Base and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna deliver it to South Base, and I use the Magellan, you get like way less XP for it. Cause like, fair enough, you're cheating, it feels like. Whereas if you deliver that on foot, then you get way more likes. But for freaks like me who are just building and building, I went backwards into the back of the map where the freaking highway costs 6,000 ceramics to build. Can't wait for those likes to roll in once people get to the back half of the game, because those are going to be sweet. I did all that cred by myself because I just was fun. Like, I just wanted to do it. With the Magellan, you can just go to the mine. There's mines now, which also can mine ceramics. And I mined a bunch of ceramics. I upgraded the mine, so now I get so much ceramics. And I just lugged it all up into the mountain 2 seconds with my car thing, and it took like 1/5 less time. Oh, I just do this every night. It's the best. I don't know how else to describe it. Some people I can totally see hating it and being like, this is so boring. When I always picture like my brother when I play games like this, and he would hate this because he is a Call of Duty, Madden. I want a quick match. I want to drop down in PUBG and play around and go to bed.
Right.
I can't ever picture him playing this. But if it's that gameplay loop tickles your brain, it's just that Death Stranding 1 again, but everything's better. I don't know how else to describe it. Everything feels better. Everything's quicker, but not in the way that makes it so it doesn't matter anymore. Because if you take away all friction, then what's even the point of going from point A to point B? Oh.
Yeah, but there are, it is just like, it's so...
I like when a game kicks Haley in the gut.
Oh, it's kicking me in the ass.
It just has this kind of like, there's this detail of design that's in here that it feels really different than other games in a way that I'm just obsessed with. You know, like things just kind of work in ways that you've played enough games to know like how difficult it is that it just does this. You know, that you can leave things on the ground and go really far away and come back and they'll still be there. And often you will have to do that because you can't do things in one run. Or like when you're on the truck, you can get off the truck and there's a button to put stuff in your backpack, but there's also, you have a button to like hold something in each hand. And sometimes it's actually more advantageous not to put it in your backpack and just hold stuff in your hands. And then you walk around the back of the truck and you can just release those buttons, and Sam puts them in the bed of the truck, and you don't have to like go through a menu to do it. He just does it. And it's so good. It feels so, I feel like, if this was the first video game you ever played, you wouldn't even clock how kind of revolutionary some of this stuff feels. But it's like, it's so hard to make things this easy, that like things just kind of click together in ways that is like just represents thousands of man hours behind the scenes.
Kojima hours, please. He's making it.
He's the sole developer.
Yeah, don't forget it, please. I mean, not having finished Death Stranding 1, I was a little worried going into this, and PlayStation released like a helpful video, like, hey, here's basically a 7-minute recap of what you need to know going into this.
They had a slideshow in the game too. And
that's what I was so surprised. Yeah, because I'm like, okay, this is clearly going to be the video that plays at the start of the game. Like, oh no, you actually just get a slideshow narrated by Dead Man in the game as an option if you're looking for kind of that recap there, which is all right. But I wonder if they're going to patch that video in. It was just an odd choice to have a video versus just a slideshow that was narrated. But
you should have just watched the 6-hour recaps like me.
I mean, I was honestly
or
amazed.
The 15-minute IGN one like me, which I thought was pretty sufficient too.
Yeah, I was kind of amazed, and I know this is as surface level as it gets, but it's like, oh, that's right. I guess I kind of had the basics down after all. Like, I think I remember a lot of these beats, a lot of these BTs. Like, I don't think it was like, oh my God, where do you even start? It's a weird world, weird post-apocalyptic world where the world of the dead's colliding with the world of the living.
There's
The
so
end.
much more than that. There's the ha and the ka, and then there's like individual beaches versus consolidated beaches, Ben. And there's a really big difference between consolidated beaches because you should ask Amelie, not to spoil Death Stranding 1. Amelie has some thoughts about consolidated beaches. You need to know these things. Otherwise,
sorry.
it's just like,
You
what
don't, because I couldn't define any of those.
Jacob, you're in the camp of like, dive in, you're fine, everybody. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I am, but also it's like
Corpus is really helpful.
Yes.
the
little
corpus.
guide.
I think the story will not be a barrier to entry, except if you just can't deal with Kojima writing, which is very present in this game. Skip all the cutscenes, whatever. But it's also like, if you like
That's
Death
crazy.
Stranding,
People
2,
are lighting themselves on fire in protest of that sentence.
No, but Jacob's saying you could if you wanted.
Sure,
Jacob's
sure.
Yeah, I am not doing it. I'm watching him shower
Right.
every time.
Right.
But it's like Death Stranding 2 is such a continuation of Death Stranding 1 that I'm kind of like, hey, these games are gonna be here. Play Death Stranding 1 first, just because it's also great, and then I think it would be hard to go backwards. But it would be easy to pick up Death Stranding 1 now. So I don't know. I mean, if
It's
you
like
just want
Breath
to play
of the
the
Wild
new
and
hot
Tears of the
game,
Kingdom.
yeah,
It's like Tears of the Kingdom's better than Breath of the Wild, but you should play Breath of the Wild first. Otherwise, you'll never go back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose so. But I wonder, I mean, there's probably so many people out there that, don't have a PS5 yet, And so it's like playing Death Stranding 1 on PC right now and waiting for this game to eventually release on Steam. Like, that might not be a terrible way to go if you're
no,
if you're
not
curious.
at all. Yeah, especially because as much
your
as
iPhone.
I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
The Death Stranding 2 is actually much more similar to the Death Stranding director's cut, which is now the one
Yeah.
that you would play on Steam. So it's actually it'll be smoother of like a ramp in if you play the director's cut and then 2.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
Right. How's our boy George Miller?
He's there.
Actually, I'm curious what you guys think of this, because I find the performances kind of uneven across the board.
Is he
I
Tarman?
think,
Yeah.
Tarman. Like, I think the actors who are motion captured and doing the voice, I think they're pretty much all great. But Tarman, who is, the likeness of George Miller with someone else's voice, Dead Man, the likeness of Guillermo del Toro with someone else's voice, I find those performances rough. I don't think they
Interesting.
are as good as the other actors, because it's like two people getting sort of matched
But maybe it's
together
just, I wonder if
potentially.
people, if they didn't know that was the director, George Miller, like maybe you'd see it more as a seamless performance, but because that's so clear in your mind.
They
you're
got
like,
someone who sounds like George Miller.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, he's actually the one who I think is the weakest performance in the game.
And you've probably seen more than me, Kyle. It's like I haven't seen him do anything except turn around in his chair and explain something about the tar. They're not giving him a lot to do.
Yeah,
not
maybe
yet.
he's a later guy.
But they're frantically
I
zooming in on his eyes as he's doing it. You gotta learn about the tar!
I think I also just, maybe it is like that sort of, it was like, it's like a video game thing of like like Alan Wake does it as well, right? Of like having someone else do the sort of motion capture and the voice. And I don't really like it in Alan Wake either, to be honest. Like there's like a disconnect there that I just can't overcome. And like when Dead Man is talking and when Tar Man is talking and Heartman, like I feel like they're just not as good as the other performers in the game.
But then like when Leia
like Ellie
Seydoux
Fanning
is talking,
is great.
it's like
Norman
seamless.
Reedus is great, and Leia Seydoux I think is really good as well. But Troy Baker I also think is a good performance as well. But I don't like his character at all. I didn't like him in Death Stranding 1. I don't like him in Death Stranding 2.
Okay.
I think it's a good performance.
I think that's kind of the point of Higgs too, right? It's just like
I think you're supposed to like groan every time
he's a
see
villain
him.
though. I just think he's like I don't like Higgs. I think Higgs is like an uninteresting villain that I don't really want to combat. Like I don't want to deal with Higgs. He's not interesting, and it's a little bit of a performance of Troy Baker. Like, hey, I'm gonna go crazy on this one, and I feel like Kojima's like, you do it, man, and I'm like, this feels disconnected and weird.
It's like, watch me chew the scenery. It's like, okay, go for it, I guess.
It's literally, someone said this or posted this with the first trailer, but it's the drill tweet. The judge orders me to take off my anonymous mask, and I'm wearing the Joker makeup underneath it. Everyone in the courtroom groans at my shit. Like, that is just Higgs in this game.
yeah, true.
Like, when you're playing a Yakuza game, it's really obvious the kind of different cutscene production levels.
Right,
Like, you
right.
have, like, the full ones, and then you have, like, the ones that are just kind of stilted, and then you have the ones that are just text. And this, it's not that it's not that obvious, but I do have the feeling of like, oh, this is one where Norman Reedus was actually in the room. Because like there are a lot of cutscenes where he does not talk, and part of his character is that he's a little withdrawn, but like sometimes he's pretty chatty, and it makes it more obvious that it's like, oh, I don't think they actually had him for as many hours as they had these, you know, the guy who's performing Heartman or whatever.
Haley, the Altars or Death Stranding 2? Go.
Death Stranding 2. Come on, man. I love the Altars, but the Altars is like a little clip of Death Stranding 2 in it and then other stuff. But I'm going to play this so much. Oh, it's kicking me in the ass.
Do you think it kicked you in the ass so hard that it's your goatee at this point?
It's up there for sure. And something that I can already hear the eye rolls, something that I have thought about a lot is this feels, because I love Metal Gear Solid 5. It's the only Metal Gear Solid game I've played. And it was so hard to beat that game because I hate Kojima's weird voyeuristic game development style. I don't like it. I think it's cringy, and I think it's look at me commentating. Well, Quiet is like the most egregious example. Right. But you know, like when I was like, I kind of want to play all the Metal Gear Solid games, and I was kind of like looking into his past repertoire of stuff, and I've read a lot about it. And I'm like, it almost kind of feels like I'm conflicted to like these like past Kojima games because they don't feel like they were made with the intention of being respectful to women. I'm sorry, they're quite sexist.
Very safe space, yes.
Yeah. So, and that not, you know, people will say, well, there's certain women that are actually really badass. I'm like, cool. So 1 out of like 50 are badass. Cool. And then what about all the mini games where you can stare at them in bikinis?
Also, them being badass doesn't make it not sexist. No. Like Quiet shoots a jet fighter out of the sky.
And she's still the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And it's just playing that game made me so mad, even though I loved it, to the point that it was just like, oh my God, like, what are we doing? It was, and what pisses me off is I'm talking about society, aren't I so smart? And it's like, okay, if you're going to say you're the society talking game guy, then you can't fumble the bag. You can't be bad at it then. Like if somebody, like when Street Fighter has scantily clad fighters, I'm like, what's the commentary? Fighting's fun. I don't give a crap, right? But then when you have, here's my commentary on the sexualization of women, and then all you do is participate in the derogatory nature of those characterizations, and there's no commentary besides her skin lets her breathe that you made up for the reason that she has to be naked. Also, the camera, Kojima is the camera in that game, is what I think about. Whatever the camera's doing, that's Kojima. And if you play that game and think of that, it's so annoying to play if you have even like a background thought of like, God, I hate this.
But how does that relate
But it's a great game.
How does that relate to these women on the beach is my question.
I think that Death Stranding is like his atonement for all the criticism he got for his fumbling of the bag. And I honestly think I've been impressed with how much more I think he's trying with his characterizations of women in Death Stranding a little bit, but much more so in Death Stranding 2. Okay. I think he's conscious of the fact that he did in fact fumble the quiet bag. He knows that. He knows that was bad and what he did was bad. I think he knows that. And then now he's almost moving the pendulum back to like the other side, not to the point where annoying people will say he's trying to cope for like people being mad at him or whatever, but I think he's honestly like, oops, yeah, maybe society should be commenting about women this way in a world where post-apocalyptic stuff is happening, not just with Fragile, but like really love, I don't know if it's a spoiler to mention the Elle Fanning's character, but her name, is that even a spoiler? I don't know.
We don't need to, just say Elle Fanning, we got it.
Elle Fanning's character I think is really interesting. I think she's almost literally the character that is atoning for Quiet sometimes when he's like showing her on screen is like, sorry for Quiet is what I feel whenever she's on screen. Rainey, I absolutely adore. And I love that the women in this game are interacting in ways that's not just, they're over here, big boss. Look, she's in a bikini now. Haha. Like they're actually like have friendships and talk and do things.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It makes me feel less cringy to play games by him now, if that makes sense. I want to play Kojima games, but I've had a stinky, icky feeling while I've done so. That's being erased with his work with Death Stranding, which I'm happy about.
Oh, nice.
No one kill me, please.
It is
not you guys.
This game has made me wish that we had a functioning criticism game sphere, which we don't anymore. Because I do think that it's like there's way less. You're totally right. There's nary an ass shot in this game in a way that's great. But it is, and I'm curious how this resolves and how, Haley, you end up feeling about it and whatever. It definitely still does feel like it's kind of like, what if a woman was a mother? And then every woman in this game is kind of like a mother in a different way. Yeah. And like, I don't know. I do like that all the women have friendships and they do things, but it still is like, well, Fragile's kind of defined by being a mother, and Rainey is kind of defined by being a mother. Like there's still, he still has an idea of a woman that is like very specific.
Yeah, it is very specific, but it's not participating in active voyeuristic weird angles of just like,
except for
what
when
are we
they keep
doing?
Making Elle Fanning take her shoes off, because they do that.
I get that that's an allegory for acceptance within the group or whatever the hell he's going to say that's the thing for it. But yeah, true. Like, I don't know. It's a lot better, and I respect the grind for him clearly trying to be better on that fact. And I've liked it a lot so far.
Oh, good. Awesome. Death Stranding 2 on the beach. We'll do a big spoiler cast when more folks beyond Kyle have wrapped this up. It's just fun to see Sony getting behind such a weird ass game in such a big way. Like, it's probably going to be the best looking PS5 game until Intergalactic. Maybe the next Horizon, if that beats Intergalactic out. I don't think it will. Right?
Yotei, maybe? I don't know.
Yotei? Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
that's a contender, I suppose. But those environments.
Do you see yourself finishing it then? Because like I know your journey with Death Stranding 1 is odd, because I know you love Metal Gear, and like we're curious to see where Kojima was going, but you fell off of Death Stranding 1, right? It didn't really click with you.
Yeah. Well, it's not so much that I fell off. I played several hours of Death Stranding 1 and liked it, and I was like, oh, I should play more, and then just never got back to it. And so I'm worried about that same situation with Death Stranding 2, where I started it up, and even just that menu where it's like, enter your birthday. You talk about the beautiful design of everything. Just like the menu sounds make me intrinsically happy, as a Metal Gear fan, just everything is like, oh my God.
Robots make when you kill them is like so specific and cool. Yeah. And it's so satisfying to know that you've destroyed them because they make this weird squeal. It's good.
Oh, it's so good. So many things are like welcoming me in with huge green banners, and then playing as like, okay, I just kind of am getting washed away by this river and hit by lightning and falling down this mountain. I'm like, I don't know. I definitely want to go back. But also, I know I've been saying that for 5 years about Death Stranding 1. So
if you want like a tip for like how I assume you play games, and if you're looking to kind of like, not approach it in the way Haley is, where she's taking a lot of time to build bridges and stuff like that. Like, you can kind of just be a vehicle guy, and you can kind of focus on the main quest, and you can make a lot of progress.
I'm a sicko.
I get it.
I'm not even saying Haley, I don't want you to take it that way. You're not a sicko. That's how you enjoy the game.
I feel it as I enjoy it, though. I'm like, I'm being a bit of a sicko, but I'm going to keep doing it.
But if like you just want to be in the world and see where it's going, like it's not it's not the kind of game where it's like, if you're just like, I'm going to take the motorcycle and do these main quests. It's not like you're going to suddenly fall behind and be like, I don't have enough experience or whatever to defeat this boss. It's not that kind of game, really.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely want to spend more time with it, because same with Death Stranding 1. It's like, I could see myself loving this, and I hope I get past that anticipation.
Also, it's like you learn how to play it. Like, you won't be swept down the river and falling down the mountain forever. You learn how the movement works.
That needs to be a poster. You will not be swept down the river forever.
It's like on the back of the box of Jacob Geller MinnMax.
There we go. Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Curious to hear more people's take on this thing. Hey, sometimes you get swept down the river of life. You know what I mean, everybody? And when you're swept down the river of life, brother, you just feel like you don't have time for important things, like cooking big meals. You just need something easy, because Haley, okay, you're cooking your meals Haley's way, as she prefers to call it. You're making something good, but that's taking time. And then you zoom out. You're also spending time in the grocery store. And I know how you shop in the grocery store. You go down each aisle and you go, I don't know, this one? And you read every label and
There's always too much cilantro. I just want a couple sprigs and they give me 8 bunches and it dies in my fridge.
Imagine a world where you never have to deal with that again, or at least alleviate certain pockets of the grocery store and cooking in your life. And that's what HelloFresh is all about, everybody, because HelloFresh makes it easier to fit quick, home-cooked meals into your schedule every single week by curating delicious recipes right to your door, like panko-crusted chimichurri, barramundi.
Panko?
Sun-dried tomato grilled cheese sandos, as well as over 100 seasonal snacks, sides, and treats from HelloFresh. They also have new ready-made meals. So if you want a HelloFresh meal that you can just microwave for 3 minutes and then wham bam, the best you ever had, that's also an option for you if you're looking to save time in these summer months. Because Jacob, don't spend time in your stupid little house looking out the window as birds are flying by, kids are spraying each other with the hose. You want to get out there and spray those kids with that hose. HelloFresh, everybody. Make your summer enjoyable and delicious by signing up for HelloFresh at HelloFresh.com/MinnMax10FM and then get 10 free meals with a free item for life. That's HelloFresh.com/MinnMax10FM for 10 free meals and a free item in every box. HelloFresh.com/MinnMax10FM. Check it out, everybody. Link in the description if you want to check it out. Jacob.
Yes.
Lies of P is back in our hearts and in our minds.
It's back.
All right, this is the DLC, which is technically a prequel, but not standalone, correct?
It's not a prequel. It's a time travel story.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So it works in very much the same way as FromSoft DLCs, which is you have to get through almost the entire game, and then you get the opportunity to go into the DLC, which is basically end game difficulty and designed for you to know how the game works.
Okay.
And then they're like, let us flex. And that's what Lies of P Overture is, and it's awesome.
Okay, so the original game came out in 2023. Is it tough to get that muscle memory back for Lies of P, or do you feel like you got the Soulsborne DNA still flowing through your veins here, you're doing fine?
So I played through the entire game again, both because I wanted to get good at it again, but then I was just like, this is so good. It's so freaking good. And they've added what I want to front load up here. The only difficulty that the game launched with, which was very hard, probably harder than most Souls games, is now the highest difficulty, and they have 2 below that. And so if you have never been able to get into a Souls game or whatever, this is a good one because 1, it's a great game, and 2, now they have full difficulty settings so you can make it a little bit easier or a lot easier.
Interesting.
So a great time to jump in. And Lies of P at this point, I would put it above Dark Souls 2 and 3 if we were including it in a FromSoft ranking. Not only is it the best non-FromSoft game, it's better than some of them that they have made. It is just so well designed and intriguing and has interesting mechanics that are all its own. And the DLC just blows that out and is really, much like the DLC for almost every From game is the best part of that game.
Right.
This is now the best part of Lies of P.
That's awesome. That's awesome. They're keeping so many traditions from Software alive with this DLC release.
Yeah, but then it's just they've just done so much stuff that's so cool that you're like, this is not only kind of a fun spin, this is something that I would love to see From Software adopt in their games. Where this game has the Estus system, where you rest at your bonfire and you get 5 heals back. But then when you're out of heals, you can actually earn 1 back by continuing to fight against an enemy in a way where it's in Dark Souls, if you run out all your heals and you're still halfway through a boss's health bar, you're why would I even try? I'm not going to do this. But you can hold on in Lies of P and kind of keep going in these situations that seem impossible if you can just play well for the next 12 seconds. I've had that happen multiple times where I'm just eking it out and this amazing kind of back and forth. The DLC takes place at like a zoo where all the animals like being there's a thing that happens to an elephant to turn it into a boss that I don't even want to spoil, but had me like audibly yelling, "Oh my god!"
More games in zoos. That's what I demand.
It's really good.
Death Stranding 2 has one.
Really?
Yeah.
Animal shelter.
Sanctuary. Yeah.
Done. Great.
We should have told you that.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the beach
save
in the
little
animal
critters
sanctuary.
and bring them there, and then you can go visit them and go, "Hi, kangaroo," and it jumps away.
God, Death Stranding 2 sounds great. Thanks for your report, Jacob.
You're welcome. But it's like this was just one. It's like I know that Janet was playing regular pre-patch Lies of P earlier and was like, "This is the one I'm going to beat." And I heard that and I was like, I know how hard the end of this game is. I just think it's going to kind of stop being fun in the way that you want it to. But now with the new difficulty levels and stuff, I really encourage everyone who even just thinks the aesthetic is cool to go and give it a try, because there are so many good things about this game that aren't just the stuff that I love. Like, it feels good to parry.
Right.
Is this the way to do it, do you think, Jacob? Like, have a period of time where the game is hard, give it like 2 years, hang out, this game's hard, and then a DLC where it's like, okay, now it's a bit easier.
Maybe, because I really do like, there's only one difficulty and this is the way you're supposed to play it on. Like, just personally, that makes me feel like I'm doing the game exactly as intended. But yeah, now I just want it to be, available to as many people as possible. And so I, couldn't be happier that they added these easier
good
options.
exclusivity period.
Right.
You get these 2 years to be get good at it, and then everyone else is allowed to play after.
That's what Ninja Gaiden did back in the day, because they released Ninja Gaiden Black a year later. That I think it had a difficulty called Ninja Dog or something, where it was like made the game a lot easier.
Oh, I like that name for that difficulty. That makes me feel more cute if I were to play it.
Yeah, call us Dirty Dogs. We'll play your game. Lies of P Overture. It's $30 for the DLC, but I saw online it's like 15 to 20 hours to get through. So it seems like a huge, beefy thing.
It's big.
Okay.
Yeah, like the full game on this replay took me about 17 hours to get through, and the DLC took me like 8. So it's like half of the size of the main game almost.
Sweet. Hey, you know what that sound is?
Is another
Dinner
ad?
bell.
Eating underwear, whatever you want to promote.
I don't know. My underwear ban getting pulled by a bully.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Haley. It's edible underwear delivered right to your door with our new sponsor. No, it's a special guest.
Wait, that eats. Can we get an edible underwear subscription service?
That's right. Use promo code that eats for 10% off.
That would be great.
I assume it's the sound of Sarah clapping.
The best gamer snack. Edible underwear in a bowl beside you while you play Death Stranding 2.
Sarah Pazorski.
Hello.
Welcome back to the podcast. 300th episode of the show, Sarah. You graced your presence.
Wow, you really snuck me in here for the 300th episode.
Should we have done everybody on this episode? Would that have been the classier route? Is it a 9-person episode?
You shouldn't have even said that, because now it's going to feel like, yeah, probably.
Cut it out.
Sarah has the energy of 5 people, as we've always said. Thank you for being here. It was a little slow clap for her to come in, which reminds me that Rematch is huge, the soccer game. We're not talking about this week's episode of the podcast because I think Janet and Leo are the biggest fans and they want to talk about it in the future. Leo talked about it a couple weeks ago, if you remember. But I've had, by the way, if you want to see people play Rematch, Sarah, the game plan is still a go for this Friday, right?
I think so.
Okay. I think we're going to have a Giant Bomb versus MinnMax rematch match happening.
I was told I just have to show up and not even really play well. I was promised a dub.
Yeah.
How truthful do you think? Both Leo and Janet said, we need a third person.
Right.
And I volunteered for Rematch. And they said, you don't even have to be good. We can win. And like, how truthful do you think that is?
I believe they're both good. I also believe it wouldn't hurt to like go through the tutorial. I think that's probably.
Have you played Rocket League?
Like once. I'm not a fan of sports games.
Okay.
That's enough.
Sarah, I'm not going to watch that But if we end up losing, I will scrub through to see how you cost us the game in that.
Is there like a
versus matches
punishment,
wrap-up.
like we gotta wear their hats or something for a week? Or
You have to wear
anything
a
on the
messed up
line?
shirt.
No, that would be too cruel. I don't know. It's up to them if they want a punishment or not. Put some stakes on it. If you all are feeling confident, I fully encourage you to put some real stakes on it, please. But Rematch reminded me of another game because I saw Rematch just blowing up the charts on Steam. Everyone's playing this thing. It's so exciting. It's like, oh, thank God. Thank God that Sifu team struck gold with a cool soccer game. And I had the same thought with a game called Peak, which is from the creators of Another Crab's Treasure, Aggro Crab. They teamed up with Landfall, who published Content Warning, and they released this game called Peak, and it is also just destroying the sales charts. Some
I
real
didn't realize it had a content warning like
connection.
relationship.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
So if
and then
like
you play the game, and you're like, oh, this feels a lot like Content Warning. And it's in that lovable kind of ever-expanding genre of Phasmophobia likes, Content Warning likes, Lethal Company likes of... Sarah, how would you define it? It's silly co-op stuff where having like proximity chat is crucial.
Yeah, I would describe it as like more of a modern party game for people.
Yeah.
Like you got 3 friends and $8, you're gonna have at least guaranteed 10 good hours.
Yes.
Out of this.
That's a great deal.
And and like I really like it because there's no tutorial. It's a very simple premise, right? Like you don't have to grind through anything. It's not too complex that like you need to spend hours mastering it. It's literally just like you and your friends are crash landed and you have to climb a series of mountains together.
Perfect.
Like protecting your resources, keeping your stamina bar up, like making sure you can navigate through like dangerous and perilous terrain. And you can help each other out, like you can like lower ropes for each other, you can pull each other up. It's just like you can tell when the developers made this game that they played it and they said like, we are having fun and we will keep adding things to this game that will allow us to continue having fun, right? So for example, when you fall to your death, which is very dramatic with proximity chat because you can hear the person scream and you can just hear it get further and further away until there's just silence. And you're like, oh, I think they died. But when you're a ghost, you can spectate your teammates and they can see you as a ghost hovering around their body and you can still talk to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah, so it's like you're not really like out, and there is ways to like resurrect you. But like when you're a ghost, you can kind of like see more than the individual. You have a bigger like FOV. You can fly around. You're like stuck to one person, but you can zoom out.
Right.
And like you can tell people where to go. And I feel like most modern development studios would be like, that's cheating. You can't do that. Like, you're just cheating. Blah 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 blah. Like telling them where to go. But it's like, who cares? It's fun.
Yes.
Who cares? It's fun, and it's not that serious.
Yep, and that's what you need. Just pack this thing full of fun. And it's funny to see like Aggro Crab, I don't know if you've seen their tweets, because it sold 1 million copies in the first 6 days.
Wow.
And they had some post on Blue Sky. They're like, why did this stupid Game Jam game sell more copies than Another Crab's Treasure? Because they started making this game, or they started it at least in a Game Jam in February of this year.
What?
And then they just cranked it out and released it, and now it's just tearing up the charts. It's got 16,000 reviews on Steam, and I have to imagine it's just going to increase. And then you play it for 5 minutes. It was our new show plus this week. You can watch us all playing it on YouTube.
This game was made in 4 months?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's crazy.
I know. And then you play it and you're like, yeah, this is all gaming needs to be. This is about as much fun as you can have. Have some Breath of the Wild style climbing, some survival aspects, and then just the proximity chat. Yeah, you nailed it, Sarah. Before we got the stream rolling, we were kind of messing around with the tech and how we wire audio was a whole thing for Janet and I, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, Sarah, how important is proximity chat to this? Can we just use Discord? And you're like, if there's no proximity chat, this stream is not worth doing. And truer words never been spoken, because then we jumped in and it's like, oh my God, that is just everything from hearing people fall off the mountain as you're trying to grab them, but then just also climbing the mountain and getting to a little cavernous area, and the echoing is so cool. And a group of 4 people just bunching up, all right, you're my climbing buddy for this section, so I'm going to be talking to Janet up close and personal. I can hear Jeffrem and Sarah on the far side of the ridge over there. It is just such a cool feeling to try and get up the mountain together like this.
Yeah, and it's so fun. And every day the mountain resets, so every day it's a new seed.
That's so
it's kind of like Minecraft in that way. So it's maybe you didn't like one mountain, you could try again the next day, and it's totally new. You always go into the same order though, where it goes a beach. And then the next thing is a jungle that has explosive bushes that will send you literally flying off the mountain. And it's really fun to watch your friends just go like, and they're gone. Like, who knows where they went. After that, it's a snow mountain where every so often the winds will pick up and you'll start to freeze. And you have to like hunker down in like a little hole together.
Oh, that's
and
so fun.
try not to die. And then after that, it's like don't touch the lava. It's like rising lava. And then after that, it's climbing up a volcano, like out of a volcano. And then after that, it's the end of the game. So it's like I finished it, and I probably want to say like 5 hours of just like joking around with my friends. We made it to the end.
Right.
So yeah, it's so much
there is a
fun, and it's
conclusion.
not that serious. Yeah, there's a conclusion. You get badges. You're like a little scout troop that's been lost, essentially. Is like the premise of the game is you're like a group of lost scouts. And
I saw
every
that you
time
had a bunch of badges.
You get a
I was
bunch
like,
of badges, like for reaching certain points. For like, I had one where I like saved somebody from death, so I have a little badge for it. I got like a little
so
mystical
smart.
wizard badge, and it's just like
If
it's just
the,
so simple, so fun.
If the mountain resets, do you have to do that all in one day?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and then it's like if you like, there is no checkpoints.
Yeah.
So like, if you make it to the snow biome, you can't just jump to the snow biome again. You have to start again at the shoreline. So it's like I've seen people complain about that online, but it's like it's not that serious.
Yeah.
That's
It's
the
like
point.
this isn't like a sweaty try-hard game. Like you're just supposed to have fun.
Right.
Get as far as you can, and if you don't, who cares? Try again.
Yep, totally. And like, yeah, Kyle, you can beat it, but then it just resets every day. So it's like, all right, every day it's a new challenge. If you want to jump in and do your quote unquote dailies, it's all right, try and scale this mountain. Okay, no, jump back in, try and scale this mountain. It's perfect.
Because as much as I enjoyed playing Content Warning with my family, it is a game that just is like very clearly unfinished, and it's a little bit of like I would like to have some kind of finish line that I'm aiming towards. So like, this sounds cool. Like I like that there's like a more sort of defined goal here.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the most telling thing is the fact that I went to watch a game trailer when we were talking about it a lot. I was like, what is this game? And the game trailer was just 4 people playing it and like talking.
Perfect.
And that's all they needed to show because it's so fun that like when she fell and they were like, no, I was like, oh, like I just wanted to play it immediately.
Yep.
This game is literally like free, like clip farming.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Like it feels like every 5 minutes there's like a clip out of it.
I know,
you
like as we were
Yeah.
even recording that new show plus, I'm like, okay, this is going to edit together so well for a TikTok. I know exactly like the beats to hit, and you can make this game seem like the funnest damn thing. And it's
When you had the bugle, you were like, he's still alive. And you're like, like down the bottom of the mountain. I was weak. My FOMO was crazy watching that stream while I was working.
it's in the poll for next week. If it wins, you never know.
Oh, I hope it wins next week.
Do you need like a full room, or can you, if I had one other person to play with?
No, you can do 2 people. You can do it solo. I don't know if they like. I think the benefit of the 4 people is you can carry more items, but then you also use more items and you have to share more items. I don't think there's any balancing to this game, but yeah, you can play it with 1 or to 4 people.
It is weird how mountain climbing's kind of having a little moment in gaming. Like Jusant and then Karen,
I'm just
I know
glad
you're really
that it's
into.
not scary games anymore because I
Yes.
love proximity chat.
Yes, yes.
But like Lethal Company, Repo, Content Warning, they're all scary.
Mm-hmm.
And while I feel like that's fun, it's really nice to have something where it feels like you still hit those like highs of fear,
Yes.
but it's not
yeah.
it's not like I'm being chased and I'm gonna die. Like nothing's coming to kill you, but you will fall off a mountain and die.
Yeah.
What's
like,
that other one that has like bird-like creatures
Big
that's
Walk.
coming out soon? Big Walk.
Big Walk.
I want to play that.
I mean, out of all
Yeah.
the trailers we reacted to, Sarah, for Summer Game Fest, I feel like Big Walk was the biggest pop in the studio
Yeah.
of like, oh my God, that's what I want. Just silly proximity-based chat with friends of exploring. It's from House, the people who made Untitled Goose Game. And like, you know, I think Janet mentioned it during New Show Plus, but like, I do wonder if this is stealing any thunder from that for kind of more lighthearted, silly stuff, but it's so nice to have like a goal in Peak, whereas it seems like Big Walk is just go explore with friends and solve some puzzles and have a good time. But it's just so nice to have that motivating drive of it's a silly good time in Peak, but also it's like Journey, get to the top of the damn mountain, go, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see if that has an impact at all. But Peak, it's $8 on Steam. Very fun. I hope it wins for Initial Plus next week, but you can never know. Never know. Tough competition. Are you going to keep playing it for a while, Sarah? Do you feel like you kind of had your fun times with your friends and you're moving on?
I'll see if my friends want to play, you
Yeah.
know, because it's like if they want to play, I'll play. I think they'll probably add some more stuff to this game slowly but surely. But yeah, it was definitely one of those games where it's like $8, absolutely worth it.
Yep.
I absolutely had fun. I laughed out loud. I laughed so hard I cried. Absolutely worth it.
Yep. Done and done. Hey, Kyle Hilliard, do you know what makes you cry?
Animated films.
Animated films. Also, just tech problems. And you know when you just can't get your ideas out onto the page? You're like, I'm brimming with concepts. I want to make a site about ranking my animated films that make me cry, but I don't know how to navigate these stupid backends for site builders. You know how you're always saying that?
I do say that a lot, all the time.
Yeah, and you're like a regular Kramer, always pitching ideas. Oh, I've got this great idea for a business, but the site is the part I always get stuck on. Well, there's a company called Wix that might be what you're looking for here, Kyle. Which actually, you're a good one to pick on, because when I said, hey, Wix is offering a free site building trial, you said, actually, give me that. I got some ideas.
Yeah, I should have a KyleHilliard.com. I should probably have one of those kind of sites, you know.
And Wix can help you. And this time you won't be frustrated, but like diving into the back end, even our site, you know, there's a MinnMax.com, by the way, but it's just kind of limited in some frustrating ways of just kind of, it's not built with Wix, tell you that much. But it's frustrating because like, okay, the deepest dive can only have 25 on it for embedding the videos, but we're way beyond that now. So it's just, you want a site building tool that is more unlimited in the potential of creation here. And you can start from a template. They offer over 2,000 designer-made templates that are fully customizable and come with out-of-the-box business functionality. Wix.com interface, super fun and easy. It's all drag and drop. If you're looking to sell products, services, schedule appointments, Wix.com has you covered. They've been pioneering in website tech for almost 20 years now. They understand web design and they know what it takes for you to run your own business. So if you're ready to create your own website, you can go to Wix.com. That is Wix.com to start building your website today. Thank you to Wix for sponsoring the show. There's a link below if you want to check it out, everybody. Kyle Hilliard.
Yes.
I feel like we're the same in a lot of ways. And one of the ways is that we've both also really been curious about the Survival Kids game on Game Boy from 1999. I think it's just because it's like we like Link's Awakening, and then seeing this game, it's like, oh, a more survival-focused take on Link's Awakening developed by Konami for Game Boy Color that feels like something that'd be really cool and up our alley.
Yeah, I mean, and also, like, it's a series that was always had positivity surrounding it. I remember it being like a hard to find game because it was one of those like in the way that RPGs were like hard to find because they were like high quality games that people really loved.
Yeah.
Survival Kids for the Game Boy Color was one of those. Like that game was really valuable because it was like supposedly a really good game that people really liked, and it was unique. It was well before the survival trend that's like a common genre now.
Yeah. It's a fascinating series for a lot of reasons. But like, Sarah, did you ever play this? Because eventually it was on the DS and it was called Lost in Blue.
Lost in Blue was like the first ever game I streamed on Twitch.
What?
I don't know why. I genuinely
Wii
don't know
version?
why. No, the DS version where you have to like blow into the fire.
Yeah.
How'd you
So
stream it
you're
on
sitting there like you're like or else you and your girlfriend are both gonna die.
Right. Good game.
Why was that game awful? It was too hard.
Yeah. It was like the DS games for those like 2 and 3, and then they had the Wii one. All those games, the reviews were not great, but always in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, but that's Survival Kids. There's something to that series. And it is just like that survival fantasy. And especially in 1999, like it really stood out. I mean, this was an era, Haley, before survival games had dominated the entire game industry. And it was like a niche thing. Like, what do you mean I have to like try and survive in this game? Like, that is such a fantastical notion.
I think I played this actually because I just looked it up because I played so many Game Boy Color games, but like they kind of just showed up in my house because I had an older brother, and I would just be like, I'm playing this, and this looks, when you kind of are like, did I?
Yeah.
Or it's like kind of right on the edge for me. I can't figure out if I did or not, but it looks very familiar.
Yeah.
Well, it's on Switch now.
Yes.
Because that's where I play. I played, I don't know. I didn't play a lot. I played like 30, 40 minutes or something like that. But did you play it back in the day, Ben? Or you're just always kind of enamored?
No, I've always just been fascinated by it because I love Link's Awakening so much. But it was, I had like one of my nephews stay with us the other night. And I was like, hey man, do you want to play this old game called Survival Kids? And like, he loves Minecraft and stuff. So he's like, yeah, that sounds great. It's just funny how like that name still can carry some weight.
Was he let down when he saw the gameplay?
He was a little bit horrified. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's probably picturing like a cool Steam game where you're building a base with your uncle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of where it's going,
The
right?
opening of the game is your dad gives you a knife and then dies.
My.
You're like, all right, well,
I love
let me press A next to all these bushes until I find my backpack.
It's very funny because like you can tell they added it in just the text, but it is like your dad handing you a knife, be like, son, it's your 10th birthday. Here you go. I'm very proud of you. Take a knife. And then it cuts back and they're on a cruise liner. like a ship for thousands of people. And then in the text it says, they were the only 2 on this boat. And then a huge wave comes and the boat is destroyed. Because I think they just realized, like, we can't have a game where thousands of people are dead. So we just have to say it's just a 2-man cruise on this giant ocean liner.
Yeah, to clarify, only one person died, and it was a father.
That's right. And he had it coming. He was a bad guy.
He might be alive, actually. I'm not sure.
He's given his
Maybe that's the end of the game.
I can see that being the end of the game. But then it's just a lot of
on the other side of the island or something.
Probably, yeah. But then it's funky and it's fun to see it in its time and place where it's basically like part, adventure game where it's a lot of merging items. It's not quite crafting. You're just merging adventure game style items to be like, okay, you got to combine this stick and this match to make a fire, that type of thing. And so it's clunky and weird and you'll get confused and lost a lot. And you'll accidentally eat a clam and get paralyzed. It'll just happen over and over again. But it has some charm to it.
You'll never learn your lesson.
But it was a fun thing because I was like, this is the night I've been dreaming of just like diving in for a little history lesson because they released a new Survival Kids with the launch of the Switch 2. And I managed to convince my nephew, like, all right, we're going to have the full history lesson here, man. Let me show you the evolution of gaming.
I wish I had a cool uncle or aunt that played games.
That's so crazy you say that because, like, every time Ben talks about his nephew, he's forcing him to relive some part of Ben's childhood. Like, every single time Ben brings up his nephew, he's like, this is how I expose my nephew to my childhood. Without his consent.
That's the point of children.
No, here's why I defend myself, Sarah.
I feel like that's true.
It's not about exposing myself to my childhood. It's exposing him to stuff that I meant to play in my childhood, like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and Survival Kids.
So you're using him to live vicariously through him.
I'm experiencing something new with a loved one.
Childhood.
God forbid. But by the end of Survival Kids, he's like, anybody that would choose to play this version over the new version is out of their mind. Like, why would anybody choose to play this clunky version? We're like,
that's crazy.
It's kind of charming. It's got like a more hardcore edge to it. But then diving into the new Survival Kids, the wild thing is it's a Konami game, right? Konami alive and well. But the more compelling thing is it was developed. Do you know who made it, Haley?
Kojima.
Very close. It's a weird thing. Unity made it. It is Unity's first in-house developed game. Is the reboot of Survival Kids.
That's so weird.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's their way of like testing the engine to make sure that Unity is up and running well on Switch 2 and stuff. And so, Kyle, how much have you played of the new Survival Kids then?
Just like the first level. I'm trying to think if I even played the second level. Like I went through the tutorial.
Okay. All right. Warmer. We played several islands and it's just funny to see like the evolution of game design here. Where back in the day, it was like, survival game, part adventure game. And now it's like survival game meets Overcooked, where it's a co-op focused game.
Okay.
They want you to like run through these little scenarios on each island and you can find secrets and they have like, they're big on giving you rewards if you beat it in a certain time and stuff like that. And so they're kind of getting away from what you would think you'd make with a survival game in the year 2025. And they're just making a super kid-friendly, streamlined version of that that's more party game Overcooked focused style.
Yeah, Overcooked is it's like Overcooked mechanics over the course of a larger level almost. Right. It's not that you're in one place like taking orders. It's that you're working together to get from point A to point B, and you do that by working together to collect things and
right. It's got
getting all the wood and then getting all the such and such and chopping down this tree and you go deal with that rock, right?
And you're not like starving on the beach anymore or getting paralyzed by clams. It's just a matter of like, hey, you can make a little cooking area, and if you throw more food in there in a certain amount of time, then you will have more stamina. Like everything's just building up from the baseline instead of being depleted and turning into a starving little child on the beach like we used to have back in 1999 when games were good.
Stranding on the beach.
Exactly right. But no, I like that Survival Kids, the new one for Switch. I think it's like a cute little game.
I was charmed by it. Yeah, it wasn't enough for me to be like, well, I'm gonna play this instead of some of the other like Switch games, But I was like, yeah, this is cool. This is sweet. This is small. It's got a nice style. Like. It's going to be one of those
Switch
like
games.
Well, I've been playing Yakuza 0 and I've been going through like a lot of old stuff. I've actually been playing like Resident Evils because they all have like frames per second upgrades and stuff like that. I was playing Burnout Paradise last night because I've really wanted a nice like frame rate version of Burnout Paradise. I even bought it on Steam Deck, but it wasn't quite what I wanted. But I'm enjoying it on Switch 2 in a weird way. I really have a problem with the weight of the Steam Deck. It really frustrates me.
Really? Your little baby hands?
Yeah, it really bums me out.
Oh man.
But I think, I mean, I don't want to predict I'm going to, but I don't want to predict its legacy. But I think Survival Kids is going to be, like, in the future, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, that was that like Switch 2 launch game that like wasn't bad but was underplayed.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's exactly it. Yeah.
And it's like the arms sort of like the Switch 2 kind of.
But it's in a tough spot, I feel like, because it's like $50. And so if you're looking for a great co-op game at the launch of the Switch 2, it's like Split Fiction is
Peak
sitting.
is $8.
What was that?
Peak is $8.
Peak
If you're looking
is
for
$8.
a great
Yep.
co-op game at the launch of the Switch, Peak is $8.
Yeah, just
You
go
also
play it
have
on
to
Steam.
buy
Not on
PC,
Switch, but
don't worry
yes.
about that part of it.
Right.
Oh yeah, that needs to come to console so I can play that with my friends.
Yeah. Oh, Peak would be awesome on Switch 2 for sure. But it's like, just obviously go for Split Fiction over Survival Kids. But it's like, if you have a younger kid that you think is too young for Split Fiction, like Survival Kids is kind of a cool option. And it's fun to see Konami revive this old IP in such a weird way. It's kind of still under the radar. Even with a Survival Kids branding, Jacob. Can you believe that?
Even with the Survival Kids branding.
Even with the Survival Kids branding.
Is it exclusive to Switch 2?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I wasn't sure about that.
Yeah.
Weird. All
Yeah,
right.
they're really
Sarah,
leaning
why are
in.
you shaking your head?
Sorry, that's just like a
disapprovingly?
weird decision to be exclusive to Switch 2 at the stage when it's a multiplayer game.
Well, it also
So
gets
that's
to
just
be
my
the third
internal-
exclusive
That's
Switch
just my
2
internal
game.
thought. Yeah.
It's also like it takes advantage. It's like the best use of game share, I think, so far for Switch 2.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like I actually get the idea of trying to be one of the few exclusive games for a new Nintendo console. I mean, if you look at Snipper Clips or something like that, which is like probably what they were hoping for.
Yeah.
You know, the third party co-op exclusive Switch game. I don't think it really became that, but I mean, I think that's a worthy goal. You know?
Yeah, I think so. But you know that there have been reports out there, the Game Business podcast, where they also talked about the development of Survival Kids. Talked about as well that like third-party games doesn't look like they're exactly flying off the shelves for Switch 2. The classic Nintendo conundrum of people buy the console and it's like, well, I got Mario Kart and I'm good. I will not look any further for any other games. You know?
Okay, but also I feel crazy. Those third-party games are like Xbox 360 games that came out in 2011. Like they're not selling Burnout Paradise and Yakuza 0.
I mean, Yakuza 0
Burnout
Cyberpunk
Paradise
is
was like
best-selling,
2007, right?
Split Fiction, right? I mean, the games that I'm playing right now are the ones that have been out for years, right? Because it's backwards compatible. But I think when they're referring to with third-party games is like Street Fighter 6. Right, the games that they made physical carts for Switch 2, and we're hoping that when you go to pick up, your Mario Kart bundle, I'll grab Street Fighter 6 as well, which is not happening, right?
Speaking of under the radar, we did an episode of Bonus Pod. Haley and Leo did it, where they got community picks for games that released in 2025 that could use some more love, could use a little boost. And one of the games caught Jacob's eye, and so it's coming back, everybody. Dead Letter Department. Sarah, did you get a chance to play this?
Yeah, I skipped watching Love Island last night so I could play this game.
Wow.
So that's like really serious for me.
And do you regret that decision?
Oh, I learned a lot about myself, I think, with the ending I got. And that if you give me a little task to do, I will do it until the very end.
Oh, okay, we got the same ending.
Against my own better judgment, I love a little task.
So what is this? It's a typing-based horror game?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
It is.
Got it.
I would say the kind
No
of
further explanation needed.
the abstract pitch is like, this is some of the most Silent Hill content I have played outside the Silent Hill series in a long time. Like it's that specific vibe as opposed to a Resident Evil vibe or Outlast or whatever other kind of like horror series you have in mind. But the plot is, you're a guy, you've moved to a city, and you've got a job in the scariest, most remote warehouse in the world where you just have to type out letters that the Postal Service's automated thing can't read. And so, which is a real job that exists, of like, if someone has bad handwriting and the computer doesn't know if that's an N or an M,
right.
A person does that. It's a really fun kind of nitty gritty mechanical game because you have like way more keyboard controls than you would kind of expect, because it's like there's you're using all of your keys to type things, including like parentheses and brackets and whatever, because you end up typing some really weird stuff. But then also it's like, well, there's a control to flip stuff. Oh, flip the letter over, because sometimes it's on the back, or to zoom in, or like there's kind of an autocomplete thing where if you type enough of it, then it'll populate with some possible addresses, and then there's a different button that you hit to like pick the autocomplete option that you want. And so it's, that RTS, Ben, that you liked where you didn't use the mouse at all?
Yes. Toucher
it kind
takes
of feels
typing,
like
whatever the
that.
heck that was called. Okay.
Where it's like when you really get in the zone, you haven't touched the mouse in like 10 minutes and you're just like typing in letters. But then, I don't know, Sarah, do you want to talk about the type of letters that you start typing out?
Yeah. So it's like you start with like addresses, right? It's just like fixing addresses and like some basic postcards. But then it starts having you type up like what I can only describe as the things that I stumbled upon the internet when I was like 15, where it's like how people have died in horrible ways. It's like so-and-so like exploded in her chair and she like combusted, or like they shoved a poker up their butt, and you're like typing this as fast as possible. And like while you're typing, there's like minor like jump scares that will kind of happen.
Okay.
But I didn't find the jump scares were scary, but like I was to a point with my typing that they would happen and I'd be like, move. I'm trying to like get out of here. Like I'm busy. I'm typing up this horrible, gruesome death. But what I thought was really interesting is like the way that the game kind of melds with you psychologically, right? So it's like you're going through these days, and I was getting like, things are ramping up, things are getting scary and scarier, and the game's like, your fingers hurt, and I'm like, yeah, they do actually hurt right now. And then it's like, you don't think you can do this anymore, and I'm like, but I will. And then it's like at the very end, it's like you feel kind of like you don't have control over your typing anymore. Like, what I wish, as I had known, is this is a game with multiple endings, right? But I was just doing what the game was telling me to do. And, like, literally at the end, I didn't feel like I had any control over what I was typing, and then they give you a time limit. So I'm typing as quickly as possible, and I maybe should have been reading what I was typing, but I just wanted to win so bad. So it's definitely, I feel like a really cool game. I, like, looked up what the other endings were, and I feel like they're so clever, because you can, like, redirect mail. So it's like, you can send things to yourself, you know what your address is.
This is...
I think I sent myself anthrax. Like, is that what that is? That, like, powdery stuff that kills you?
Right, whatever.
There's one, it's like, I don't want to kind of spoil too many moments, but there's a letter that you can get that's like someone sending something to their boss that is like clearly a bomb. Like, it's like very obviously a bomb, and you can send that on, or you can send it to your own address, and then you get delivered the mail that you send to yourself, and then you can blow yourself up.
The end.
But there is just so much. I mean, I should say, I found this game deeply scary.
Okay.
Like, really, like, hairs standing up on my arm, and a lot of that is just like the sound design is really oppressive, and it like, even just like walking out of your apartment is scary. You live in like the worst apartment in the world.
I heard
and
a
you're
dog
just
like crying out in pain in one of the apartments,
Yeah.
and I
Oh my
was
God.
I got so upset. Whole
but
shift.
then there's things like, there's this running bit in the game where you just keep getting letters addressed to the same woman. And it's just like, you're just typing her address over and over. And then it starts like saying things in her name. Do you remember her name?
Mila
like
Van Sickle.
Olivia Clive. I
it's a
typed it so
different
many
name?
times.
Maybe they changed.
No, mine was
I
definitely
have
a woman. She lived in Idaho, right?
Mine was a different person.
Ooh.
Yeah, wait, Haley, what was yours?
Vella Van Sickle.
Okay, yeah, no, mine was different as well. But so I think there's actually like more mail than you can get in one game. But you just keep typing her name, and then it's like, Vella Vansicle is missing ? Will be like the name on the thing, or like no one ever saw Vella Vansicle again, or whatever. And you're just typing these things out. And there's like a letter you get, and it just has a normal address on it, but you can see the letter in it, like through the envelope, and it just says, "When I find you, I'm going to kill you." And then you're like, I guess I'm just sending this to a person, and it's like just so, it is that really good of just like, am I just supposed to keep doing my job here? So it's like, it's just it's such a good conceit, like it just works so well as with the thing that it's doing.
And impossible to port.
But I was locked in.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you definitely need a keyboard.
Yeah, Kyle asked if he could play this on the Steam Deck, and I was like,
You absolutely cannot.
But yeah, I was locked in. I was getting letters with like body parts in them, and I was like, not my job. My job looks like that. I just have to give a shit. Not my job.
So wait, so you went from being so happy that Peak didn't have any horror elements to it to now being thrust into another horror experience for you?
Although I don't think, like, I did get like a few jump scares, but I don't think they were like too bad. It was mostly like atmospheric vibes based.
Yeah.
But like I said, like this is like my dream job. I was like, wait, I just want to do this for like a day.
Type spooky things. Mm-hmm. Right? Postal
Someone who
service
worked
right
at
there.
a medical office for years during university, you do not want to do that more than a day. It's so boring. That's what I kind of thought about when I was playing this. It's weird how it like accesses certain parts of your brain, which I think lends really well to horror because you let your guard down because your brain zeroes in on the mundane, repetitive task version of it needs to access for you to just be able to get your work done.
Right.
And I was starting to like remember how I used to think at that office when it was like, Haley, we need you to make an Excel spreadsheet of everybody who's missed 2 or more appointments so we can start flagging the things. And I'm like, okay. They're like, go back to like 1989 and go from there. And I'm like, oh my God. And you just sit there and you're just like, doing that. It's perfect for horror. Cause I'm in just absolutely my chilling out mode. Even if I get jump scared, I'm like, ah! And then like 5 seconds later, I'm like,
you're sitting there like, wait, did you want me
it.
to make a pivot table? And then suddenly you're being dragged off to hell.
Yeah, literally.
So Dead Letter Department is the name of it. It is $15 on Steam. There's also a demo if you want to check it out on Steam. I think it's one we'll be talking about towards the end of the year. Is this Upper Crust Bubbler territory?
It's a bubbler, I think.
We'll be shouting it out.
Okay. There we go.
It's like, I think I'll think about it just for like, because the mechanics are so clever for a while, even if the game itself, I'm not like, best game I've ever played.
Yeah. Speaking of clever mechanics, this isn't a segue to a different game topic or anything. It's just going back in time a little bit. But I was struck in the opening of Death Stranding 2 even by, it's like, all right, you're walking
Sarah waited the whole time
God,
so she wouldn't have to hear about Death Stranding 2.
For self-care.
There's no
and now you
spoilers.
gotta bring it up again?
It's just an interesting little game design decision that I want to see other games do. I don't think this will annoy you to say, but it's like you're walking along a ridge and they're playing music, and then if you kind of get off the ridge, the music kind of fades away. I was like, is this an easy way for designers to kind of guide players instead of just having, the white paint, the yellow paint, the bright lights guiding players along the way? Like, it's such a cool idea of just like, hey, you want to hear this song that's really good? Keep playing and not be muted slowly. Like, just stay in this area.
I don't know if that's the mechanic.
Is
I
the
think
bar
the song
on the
just
floor
naturally...
for Kojima? It's giving dust on the VCR player.
I'm not saying wild genius. I just
and
think
then
like,
when I walked toward the music, it got louder.
but why? I'm surprised that other games haven't used music and keeping music as like in its prime state as a way to kind of guide players a certain direction or another,
I feel like they have, but I couldn't name any off the top of my head.
That's probably true.
It's like Ghost of Tsushima Wind, but music.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
We didn't talk about how good the music, all the musical choices are really good.
Yeah.
I remember when I was playing Red Dead Redemption 1, there's like the best moment in any video game where you get to Mexico and the song starts playing. And I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And then I had been searching for like an armadillo pelt for like 12 hours, and I saw an armadillo and shot it and went to skin it, and the music stopped, and I was like, I ruined the greatest moment in game.
But dude, that pelt was so smooth. It was perfect.
Yeah, thank God I could
Armadillos are
hold
so
3 more
easy to
shotgun
find.
shells.
You're not allowed
You
to
killed
do
it
that.
with a shotgun?
No, that's just what the pelt was for.
Oh, okay.
I did the exact same thing. I immediately got off my horse and just accidentally probably. Then it's like, all right, the greatest song ever is going to stop for me. Cool. Hey, Kyle Hilliard.
Hey, Ben.
Do you want this music to stop by getting off your horse?
He likes you.
I do.
He likes Kyle.
You've just been around since the start, man. It's 300th episode. It's a special time.
That's true.
But thank you.
Beginning.
That's right. The way this operates, everybody, is people jump in on Patreon. They unlock a benefit. We're hoping you do that to keep us around here. Supa Koopa Troopa just jumped in at the $5 tier. They unlock that bonus podcast feed so they can hear bonus pod every week. And a ton more.
Come on in.
Including a MinnMax Hootenanny, where we had 8 of us in a big group bonus podcast celebration this week. So if you want a taste of
Yelling
two tens, yelling at Keith.
Keith wrote and was like, I loved it. Did you see that?
Yeah, he's all about it. So you can unlock that in the bonus podcast feed. It goes right in your favorite podcast app. Support us at the $5 tier on Patreon. We appreciate it. And thank you, of course, to bigger supporters like I Am 8-Bit. I Am 8-Bit would love for you to know about the Diablo 4 vinyl soundtrack that they have in their wonderful online store. It's I Am 8-Bit, so all this stuff looks gorgeous, looks beautiful. You can get the vinyl soundtrack to Diablo 4, to so many other amazing games right in I Am 8-Bit's wonderful online store. The box art, or the design is incredible, the music's incredible, and just scroll around on I Am 8-Bit's store because it's filled with great stuff. And you can use the promo code Melted Ice Cream for 10% off of everything in their wonderful online store. And you should help support I Am 8-Bit in a big way because they support the MinnMax community in a big way by shipping out a prize each and every week to whoever has the best questions submitted over there on Patreon. Every week we put up the post saying, ask us something we don't know, and people just lob haymaker after haymaker our way, and we choose our number one favorite, and that person wins a prize thanks to I Am 8-Bit. And this week the person who wins will be taken Shim on PS5 out of their mailbox. The PS5 I Am 8-Bit exclusive version of Shim, the game about jumping between shadows.
I played that. It was fun.
Heck yeah. All right, ready for these questions?
Yeah.
Super This Way writes in, don't worry, Sarah, we're done talking about Death Stranding 2. We got to talk about important stuff. They say, hey, cohorts, recently Kojima talked about disliking how much praise he got for Death Stranding 2, and he doesn't want to make games that appeal to everyone. At first, I agreed, but the more I think about it, the more I do feel like his style and influence has become more or less mainstream. People who grew up on Metal Gear are making stuff now. Do y'all feel that way about his stuff, or is there an essence of Kojima that doesn't appeal to the masses yet?
I think we're in a bubble, and the vast majority of normal human beings would not love these games. You know what I mean? I still think we're in an echo chamber bubble.
I've always thought of him as mainstream. Like, this was the game that I would talk about with friends at high school. I've been seeing a therapist recently, and when he found out that I was like a video game person, he has been talking to me about Hideo Kojima. He's not a big gamer.
You're like, sir, this is very expensive. Please, we cannot
honestly,
talk
there has been a couple times where I'm like, can we talk about something different? But like, I don't know. So in that sense, like, I've always felt like the Metal Gear games are mainstream games. I don't know, maybe
it's amazing how many people I've talked to who like don't play games but love Metal Gear. And it's it's like Kojima is the only video game creator name that a lot of people know other than like, Miyamoto or whatever. So like I mean he makes games that are weird, and I guess the question is maybe asking about his like design decisions.
Right.
But like his games have always been big and popular.
Yep. And now with, games taking so long to develop and Sony really needing to push whatever exclusives it has on PS5, it's getting that full marketing push. And so like for people who own a PS5, I feel like Death Stranding 2, as weird as that game is, it is now mainstream. That's just their Little Big Planet.
Was it bigger marketing push than Death Stranding 1? I felt like that was pretty big. When it came out.
Yeah, I guess they're about the same. Yeah.
I was going to say to you, maybe the point you were getting at, Haley, I will say Death Stranding is not a game that like I recommend to like someone who's kind of casual. Like they bought a PlayStation 5 a couple years after it came out. Maybe they're playing like, a Call of Duty from a couple years ago and having a good time with it. I don't think that person I would be like, oh, you got to check out Death Stranding. I think you'd really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friend is getting really into his PS5 that he just got. He's playing a ton of open world RPGs in a row. And I was talking to him about how I've been playing Death Stranding 2. He's like, should I pick up the first one? And I was like, no. I just don't think he'd like it.
You could try it.
He could try it. I tried to explain the plot to him for 5 minutes. He was laughing at me. He's like, what the hell do you play? Well, it's like,
I feel like Death Stranding is what you play when you've played literally everything else. And you just need something that's like completely different,
fresh,
but also familiar.
Yeah.
Like in some of the ways,
Are you excited to jump into Death Stranding 2, Sarah? What's your attitude on this thing?
I think it's gonna make really good stream content.
Yes.
I streamed the first Death Stranding, and that was really good stream content.
Stream the whole thing?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
Yeah, I did.
That's great.
Because it's just, it's one of those games where it's like, truly, sometimes I just don't believe my eyes with what I am seeing. Like, that's how I feel about a lot of Kojima's games. You're like, he thought that this was a good idea? Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I like him, though.
Yeah, you'll feel that way positively this time. Maybe.
But yeah, Jake, I'm thinking more about the marketing thing. Like maybe just like, PlayStation pushing the Death Stranding 2 World Tour and the concert series and all that stuff. Like it's definitely.
I think Kojima just wants to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's a PlayStation push for him to go sit in a room with Troy Baker and his friends. I think that's just like Kojima's like, what if I could pretend that I was a musician and go on a tour?
Done and done,
Roasted.
sir. God, do you guys ever worry about Kojima's mind? Just imagine getting
like his head getting too big?
Yes.
I worry about that. Yeah.
It's like that Community episode where Jeff keeps being told he's handsome and then his brain explodes.
I think it's exactly that, but instead of exploding, it just kind of rots away with the core level of humanity. And like, I have no evidence that Kojima is secretly a monster, but just we're getting to levels of fandom with this guy that's just he cannot be
You know what I
sane
keep
anymore.
forgetting? He's in his 60s.
Looking
He's
good.
a kid.
He's
a wife
1 year
and
younger
kid.
than Tom Cruise, a fact that he loves to post about.
He's
He's like, I just saw Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise was great, 1 year older than me.
He said that.
That's awesome.
He needs to drop the skincare routine. He does not look in his 60s. Or maybe you haven't looked at him that closely in a long time. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it, but
great.
like just the level of kind of ass kissing he has, like when we were visiting the studio for the Ground Zeroes cover story trip at Game Informer, it was like he just had an army of support that were like filtering into the room to like check things out before he came in and sat down for his interview and stuff. And I remember it was like last second they had a panic because they realized the chair he was sitting in could be more comfortable. So they like got rid of this standard ass chair to be like, we need to get the most comfortable chair for Mr. Kojima. I was like, this
Is he
level,
like the green M&M kind of celebrity?
It sounds like it.
yeah, well, it feels like in that
Kevin
they're really
Spacey?
hot in the
Oh,
commercials.
no, he's the yellow one.
No, more so like
Not him.
He's talking about Van Halen
I
demanding.
know.
Oh, right?
know.
Okay,
that's
and they
fair,
were
yeah.
right to do that. There's
Yes.
a story behind it.
They were making
I just
sure
don't
they got
expect
that
a
right.
person at this level to be able to create what I would consider like good art. When it's like it feels like
Relatable art.
he's not
Yes.
relatable. I worry about his relationship with his mom often.
Correct.
I feel like he shows more in Death Stranding games about his mindset than he realizes. And like not what he wants to show was what I got from the original Death Stranding. It's like I'm seeing a lot of your psychology in here that I don't think you meant to put in here.
Well, there's even, I mean, for
Wait
him
until
being-
he treats babies in this game.
That's
No.
exactly it. It's like, well, he has kids. That's interesting to think about, like how much of his own
because he was
parenting.
playing hide and seek with his kids, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Michael Billard writes in. They say, "What mundane thing do you wish more games let you do?" We're talking mundane as hell.
This came from Dead Letter Department, but like I do love typing in a game. Like if I go from going around and pressing E to pick things up and all of a sudden I sit at a desk and I can use my keyboard to type, I feel insane. It feels so good every time.
I really like any time that you can just like press E to play an instrument in a game, and specifically like if you can, if there's a cutscene where they play the instrument, that's great. But what I really like, I like it in Max Payne. In Max Payne 3, you do it like 3 times and he plays the piano better each time. But I like when you can just keep hitting the button, but it will play different notes. That's my favorite, which is like Expedition 33. When you find a piano, you can just go like bong, 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 and it plays like different chords.
Yep, absolutely. Now, does Animal Crossing count for the one simple, just kind of strum of the guitar as you're going by over and over again?
Oh,
I feel like it's a plus, but
It's a
you
plus.
can do that with a lot of stuff in Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
I like it's a small thing. I don't know, maybe this isn't the answer, but I'm always enamored when you take your shoes off to enter a house in a game.
That
or
happens?
Put them back on. Yeah,
It
like
happened in
Shenmue.
Yakuza.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Shenmue, you always
all
take
right.
your shoes off. And then the other one, this is very specific, but I was charmed by it in the game Yokai on
Yokai
3DS.
Watch.
Every time you entered a house, your shoes
love
would like
that game.
automatically come off or come back on. So that was cool.
Especially if like the sound changes, you go from like thunk thunk
yeah.
thunk to like a light thunk 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 of your socks.
Do you guys all have shoes on right now in your homes?
No, oh my god. Canadians need to stop. Canadians and non-Americans need to stop spreading this false information that all Americans wear their shoes in their homes all day.
I thought that was true.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what your Canadian mind thought, Haley.
Just because we don't have healthcare doesn't mean we have to keep our shoes on all the time.
Where is that rumor coming from? Because I thought it was real.
Haley, I have slippers on. I don't know, as a
Slippers
lawyer.
don't count.
Okay, all right, then cool. Yeah, then it's totally not true.
Should I read the temperature in North Carolina? I'm wearing as little as possible.
That's fair.
I like when you get to like pick stuff up and put stuff down spontaneously and in like other people's homes. I like
you know what I love in Twilight
and like
Princess?
knock
The way you
everything
pick
off
up a
their
cat.
table.
The way Link picks up a cat in Twilight Princess is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. He's like, he scoops the butt and he holds its neck nicely.
So perfectly.
It's perfect.
Ari writes in, they say, congratulations to Pew Pew Bang and all of your success. What lessons have you all learned on the first season of Pew Pew Bang? Hopes, dreams, special guests for the future. Let's get some wisdom.
It'll always go longer.
It could always be longer. I feel like I was surprised at how quickly people wanted to embrace it. I thought we were going to have to it was going to take a few episodes for people to really like hit the ground running on it. But yeah, I was just like overwhelmed with just the support of it. And like for the evergreen episodes too, I think I was really serious about the evergreen episodes because I feel like there's too many podcasts, especially in gaming, that cover like week to week stuff.
Yeah.
But it doesn't give you an opportunity to talk about like where you exist in the gaming space, especially since everyone has different experiences. So I was like really happy that the evergreen format really did well.
Yeah, I also love that, you know, we go off on tangents, but that's the best part of the podcast. You know, normally you try to avoid that and be like, oh, we got to get back here. But that's where Pew Pew Bang thrives.
Yeah.
So we don't have to be so cognizant about, oh, wait, what were we talking? We still do that so that we have some sort of coherent structure to the way the episodes are playing.
Normally it's Kelsey saying, what were we talking about again?
Yeah.
There was something.
We're talking about something insane. She's like, anyways, Game Boy Advance released in 2000. She'll just bring us back on track. But it's fun that doesn't have to be, oh God, did we just go on a 20-minute rant? Because that's what the whole point of it is the conversations that come from those kind of lost tangents.
Yeah, if you're listening to this show and you haven't subscribed to Pew Pew Bang yet in a standalone podcast feed, you should. It's called Pew Pew Bang. 10 episodes in, they just wrapped up the first season, but like Sarah mentioned, their evergreen is all hell. The latest episode is 5.5 hours long, but
it's a D&D session.
It's a D&D
session.
session.
That doesn't count.
That's the important.
Yeah.
It won't count as you listen to it, but people are.
We still recorded a whole hour before that, though, like just to gear up for our D&D, and then we started it.
Yeah. Do you have a dream for the future of Pew Pew Bang, Haley, Sarah?
Ooh, I would love to get like invited to an event.
Yes.
As Pew Pew Bang. Like, I feel like that's when I know that we've made it.
You kind of already have, haven't you? For this thing happening in...
Yeah, but that was through Kelsey, which is like, you know, I totally count as legitimate, but it's like I would love to, instead of people being like, oh, MinnMax, I would love to be like, Pew Pew Bang.
Right. It made me laugh like when Kelsey was a guest on Chris Plant's podcast, Post Games. He's like, oh, she co-hosts Pew Pew Bang, which is part of the MinnMax podcast network. And he felt so comfortable saying it, but I feel like every time he's talking about on the show, it's like, I guess we're part of the MinnMax network. What do you even call that? Like, it's just like, I love that the external force is like, oh, yeah, it's a podcast network. That's right.
Well, that's what you always intended for MinnMax, right?
That was
like it being a network.
Yep.
So yeah.
It's a chiral network of sorts. Brian Tylek writes in.
Wow.
And they say, hey, MinnMax crew.
Glance over, like, what did she say? Anyways, moving on.
They say, hey, MinnMax crew, happy 300. Thank you. Do men just like to complain about the Joy-Cons so much because it gives them a ready-made excuse to brag about how massive and powerful the domineering manly hands are? How dare you, Brian? How dare you
I think that's not true.
I think it's true.
I only liked it because I saw that Haley was going to be on this episode. And I think it's absolutely wild that it's like the gaming console, like the Switch Joy-Cons, are the only thing that I feel like most men pick up and go, this wasn't made for me. Because literally I feel like everything I touch wasn't made for me and I can tell. So it's like I'm
so
used
valid.
to like a perpetual level of discomfort in this world. But God forbid a meaty man get his claws on a tiny controller and suddenly it's, I can't play video games anymore. I don't know how to press a button.
Okay, now to defend meaty man hands, on behalf of all meatheads out there, like you're telling me you holding like a Duke controller, original Xbox, piece of crap controller, that's going to be less comfortable than a Joy-Con, which I feel like it is inherently just the most uncomfortable thing to hold.
Whoa,
I mean, why is it like
Duke controller's way more uncomfortable? Are you kidding me?
Than a Joy-Con? No way.
100%.
Kyle,
Joy-Cons are way
ally.
more comfortable.
No ally here. No ally high five. There's no way that
I think about this a lot. Weirdly a lot, because it's one of the things is like, oh, did I say something really crappy and like offensive and sexist? Yes. Let me bring it up. When my very first, like, you can go find Game Informer's like Switch 1 video. Like, we recorded it in the hotel room later that night. Yeah. And I was talking about how much I like the Joy-Cons because I have small girly hands. Is how I phrased it. And I always thought to myself, I was like, is that a crappy thing to say?
Girlfriend mode.
And then Matt Cotto at Game Informer laughed at me because I had said that in the video. Like I don't remember if he sent me a message or something like that. But so I've always been like self-conscious of that.
We'll give you a pass.
Wow.
You're hereby
Wait,
forgiven.
Haley, can you put your hand, Haley and Sarah, how...
I got pretty big hands. If I was a dude, I'd be showing these things off. Let's just say that.
Look how small mine is. This isn't fair.
I've always heard that
you're doing perspective stuff, man. You're like, oh, but mine
Check
is
it
so
out.
small.
My hand is
My
so
tiny
big.
girly hand.
Now, is it...
Mine's a little
Let's turn
small.
this into Pew Pew Bang for a second. Is it true that like if someone like puts their hand up to you, does that mean that they're flirting? Is that like the
Yes.
only reason that someone does
Yeah.
it? Okay.
The
Yeah.
compare hand because it's like,
And
oh, let's
they do
compare
the-
hand sizes.
They
and
do
then
this.
They'll curl
The
their
crumple
fingers.
over. The crumple over means
Or
they're
they'll just
obsessed
grab
with
your
you.
hand. Yeah.
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 Oh, my hand is so small. Your hand
And
must
if
be
there's
so
too
large.
small to crumple, that's the funniest thing is they'll do it. They're like, I can't wait to crumple. And they'll go and my hands are too big. And they're like, whoa, that's crazy.
Whoa, that's
And they'll
crazy.
back off. And I'll go, exactly.
So when somebody
Start a
asks you
little
too,
dominance.
Jacob, like if your hand's bigger than your face, something, and you have to put your hand on your face and then they punch
Yeah.
it, that also was them flirting with you. Every
That's male
bully
flirting.
in middle school,
That's male flirting.
that's it. That's how we do it.
So wait, Jacob, Duke or Joy-Con, which is more comfortable?
Well, look, I never had an original Xbox, but like the problem with the Joy-Cons is they don't have any like back.
Yeah,
Right?
It's
Like
holding,
you just want.
Baby, don't gut back.
Like a Super Nintendo controller.
Yeah, tastes like crap, feels like crap.
Well, you're not supposed to be eating it. That's your first problem.
You guys aren't eating Duke?
No, I just the original Xbox controller is like the worst control. I just found it completely unusable.
It is so much more
I hated that
comfortable
controller.
than
It looks like it has a huge forehead. It's also
it's ugly as sin, but it's more comfortable than cramping over a stupid
No, it
Joy-Con.
does not look
Can
more
you do?
comfortable.
Can you do a poll for that one? But genuinely, like I would
Yeah.
be curious if people
You
like
have
which they
polls.
think is more
I
comfortable.
can't-
To
Twitter-
me, I
all
thought it was
the
Joy-Con.
elder
no
millennials
question.
who had the Duke controller.
All right.
How do you feel about Joy-Cons?
Joy McMartin writes in, they said, 15 years ago, I figured out that you can open a beer bottle with an N64 controller. I have no question, just that. I don't hear enough people talk about it.
Like use the
In
memory
what
card
way?
port on the back.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that-
exactly it. You can look up a video. Yeah, you can just pop a beer bottle right in there and snap it off. Feel like a real damn hero.
I should have put an N64 controller on my keychain.
Coolest guy on. Is it cool guy move or douche guy move to have like the bottle opener on your sandals and be like, I got that for you?
On your
Yeah, because then you
Why would it be on
gotta.
your
My
sandal?
drink has to go near your dirty foot.
Well, it's even worse. It's not the dirty foot. It's the dirty bottom of the sandal.
Yeah,
that
under
doesn't
of the
touch it.
foot.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the thing that you've been
Yeah,
drinking.
love
That
when
you
you're, like,
Americans
walking around a
wear in your
beach and then you
house.
just fill a beer with sand by opening it.
You guys got to relax with the beach lifestyle. It's all about getting sand everywhere, man.
Yuck.
Do you have a bottle opener on your shoe, Ben?
I have one on the bottom of my slippers. Does that count?
That'd be the weirdest.
Do you just click when you're walking around the house?
Yeah, exactly.
When you've got hooves.
Yeah, little hooves.
I have this multi-tool in my purse that is like a bottle opener and also a few other things, but it also has like a weed grinder thing on it that I've never used. Anyways, so then I was getting like my bag searched and the guy pulled it out and he was like, "What's this?" And I was like, "It's a bottle opener." He's like, "What's this other side?" I was like, "I'm not sure. I think it's for weed." And I genuinely, that's like what it came across so like, yeah, right. He's like, "I don't know if you can bring this in here." And I was just like, okay. And I can't remember if I just didn't go, I still have it. So did I sneak it in? I can't remember what happened, but
It's tough.
that's my story.
Haley,
He was a bouncer.
as a horse girl, do you think there's any appeal?
Talking to me?
Could you sell? Yeah, as a bunch of horse girls on this podcast with girly horse girl hands. Do you think there's any appeal for like, are horse girls into like horseshoes? Like
The game?
No, not the game. Oh, the game I'm also curious about, but that
Like,
trivializes...
did I have a horseshoe in my room growing up? Yes.
Okay,
Is that what you're asking?
Warmer, yeah. I'm wondering if there's some sort of shoe design that could be popular. Like, if you were like peak horse girl love, and it was like, there's a thin layer of metal to replicate a horseshoe feeling on the bottom of your shoes.
That 100%. Have you not seen like the competitive horse jumping, but it's just girls who can't afford horses and they run around and jump over jumps?
And they have horseshoes on
adorable.
their
Have you not
feet?
seen
No, I've never seen that. No.
They go on like all fours and they can jump over. And sometimes they just stand up straight and have the little horse on like
The
a
hobby
broomstick.
horse racing is actually
Hobby horse
insane.
racing.
Get these girls to the Olympics right now because
Get
those
these
jumps
girls
are actually insane.
A Kickstarter to own a horse. They're out there doing the most just to pretend to ride a horse. I want to pay for their riding school. It makes me so sad when I see it.
So it's just like a sadder version of people like pretending they're playing
It's
skid
like
itch with
Tina
a broom or
Belcher
whatever.
from Bob's Burgers, but in real life. And
Okay.
it's like
Look up
20
hobby
girls.
horse. Or is it racing or hobby horse competition?
No.
Hobby horse competition.
No.
The listeners will. I know
Okay.
they will.
All right.
Yeah. Go give them some love.
Jonathan, not too much. Jonathan Fenn writes in, they say, hey gang, what's the greatest game that's never been mentioned on the MinnMax show? I love this
couldn't
question.
guess this.
This is interesting.
I don't know.
Because I was thinking like, God, how do you gauge that? And then I was like, okay, let's just go to like IGN. Old standard IGN, their top 100 games of all time. Have we talked about every game on that list at some point over 300
must
episodes?
have.
Of all time, though?
So top 100 of all time. So I was looking at it.
Is it just like said the words?
Yes.
Okay, because I was gonna be like, pretty sure we've never talked about World of Warcraft on this podcast, but we've said the phrase World of Warcraft.
We've referenced it, right? So I think even referencing is going to count here. So I was thinking like number 43 on their list is Pokemon Yellow, which is an interesting choice, but hey.
I've talked about Pokemon Yellow and Pew Pew Bang.
Yeah, so that's the thing is I can you can search YouTube transcripts. So here's every time we've talked about Pokemon Yellow on the MinnMax show apparently.
I love that game.
Pokemon Yellow and Pokemon Puzzle League, where they were like fully overlapping with the show. Okay, that was years ago. Pokemon Yellow. Okay, is it Banjo-Kazooie, Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Yellow, Grim Fandango?
Men shouting Pokemon Yellow.
Pokemon Yellow.
Like my Pokemon Yellow or something back in the day.
Oh yeah,
that like
Heartbreaking.
having something stolen as a kid.
Oh, there you go. Sarah and Nicole Z talking about Pokemon Yellow. Let's see. In Resident Evil 2, Pokemon Yellow. It sounds like a community question. I can feel that from the vibe. On the farm, it has like Pokemon Yellow vibes, right? Of just like lock. So it comes up all the time.
Because like even like the Pokemon Yellow and
That's Nicole Z again talking about Pokemon Yellow in a different episode. That's really strange.
way more times than I would think that we would say Pokemon Yellow.
I know,
That's
and that wasn't
actually
even all of it.
shocking.
There's a lot. We mentioned it several times. SimCity 2000. I was like, God, did we ever talk about that? We've talked about that 12 times apparently on the podcast. It has come up.
Probably because you were like, why didn't you play that when I was talking about City Skylines or something?
Maybe.
Here's a game
I'm not-
IGN gave a 10 out of 10. Pac-Man Championship Edition DX.
Yeah, we've talked about that. Serial was on this podcast
God
for
damn
years.
it.
We absolutely talked about that a lot.
Serial-
This one you wouldn't be able to search for, but what if it was just like Castlevania 1? You know, it's like we've certainly talked about like other Castlevania games, but like, have we talked about?
I think it's been
one?
referenced. I'm sure it's been referenced. We talked about music. We talked about, you know, the tie-in for Vampire Survivors, right? Like I think it would have come up.
What about Deltarune? I feel like that's a game maybe it's been mentioned, but I don't think we've ever.
In
We've
passing.
mentioned
We've
it,
talked about it.
but
Yeah.
only going, yeah, I wish I would. I'll play that
Play
when
that.
it's finished.
It was us
Finish it
looking at
first.
each other going, someone should really spend some time with Deltarune.
Yeah, exactly. Mega Man 3 is number 92 on IGN's list. I'm like, that's a contender, Mega Man 3. Turns out we mentioned Mega Man 3 back in November of 2019. Here it is. Composer's the Mega Man 3 composer, like a soundtrack to the Darkwing Duck game is awesome. So, of course, in comparison to the soundtrack
My
for
next
Darkwing
answer
Duck
was
game-
going to be the Darkwing Duck game.
No,
but you said
sorry,
that one
it's
too.
also come up as well. There is an answer for IGN's top 100, though. A game we've never talked about.
Burnout 3.
No. We've surely talked about Burnout 3. I'm sure we've talked about Takedown
Burnout
Mode.
20 minutes ago.
That's true.
Paradise.
Thief 2, The Metal Age is number 90 on IGN's list. And I searched the archives. We have never mentioned Thief 2, The Metal Age.
What
So
about
congratulations.
Thief would be tough to write because it's like a noun that we might have used outside of the
Yeah, well,
context
it's like,
of
and
it.
we've certainly talked about Thief just with Leo's ImSim stuff, but I guess not Thief 2.
Not Thief 2. Remember when they announced that PSVR 2 version of Thief.
No.
Didn't we watch that?
Yeah, I think we watched
that was just
reaction.
recently.
Yeah, but isn't that weird that the strategy is to take one of the most niche series and then to make it 1,000 times more niche and hoping that it does well in VR? It's bold. I hope it's good.
Here's a game produced by Shigeru Miyamoto that I bet we haven't talked about on the MinnMax show, but we have talked about at length on PP Bang.
Hamtaro, Ham, and Heartbreak?
Wave Race.
Hamtaro, Ham, Heartbreak.
I've probably talked about it on.
Oh, that's only because we have such good
I made
people
Ben
on,
stream
like
it.
Sarah.
Yeah, we
New Show
streamed it.
Plus.
I have bad news. Here we go.
What about Rainbow Rescue, the
He
sequel?
drew a picture of Hamtaro, and like Hamtaro was kind of.
Yep, sorry. We got this.
For like Hamtaro, Ham, Heartbreak.
Yeah.
My love for all of the CD-ROM games I grew up with, the Barbie games I
don't
grew
like that
up
you
with.
have these
on hand.
Yeah, how are you pulling these so fast?
hate
This
this.
is crazy.
There's this site, was it filmot.com, where I can just search all YouTube transcriptions. It's very convenient.
cool.
It's awesome.
Can you just find every time that someone said I'm like smart and cool on the podcast?
So we're looking for the phrase smart and cool.
No, just specifically about Jacob. He's
You
right.
can say
Jacob is
Jacob
smart.
Geller, because
Guys.
I think you say his full name a lot, so you can say Jacob Geller.
Why would we say that about anybody other than Jacob Keller? Obviously, if they're smart and cool on this episode or on any episode of the podcast, it's going to be about Jacob Keller. And let's just see. We have said smart and cool 3 times on the podcast. Here we go.
That's a lie.
And this is so smart and cool. And I'm like, and it's such a great experience. You know, I ate all the chicken nuggets for that one. I don't ever want the context. I don't ever want the context.
Oh, wait, could this be a new show plus? This is so fun.
Here we go. Smart and cool.
I ate all the chicken nuggets for that one.
The commenter
Oh
was
my
smart and
God.
cool.
Oh, that explains why I thought Leo's talking about a commenter being smart and cool. Okay, what's this one? Kyle, is this type of design smart and cool or dumb and stupid?
I actually am
love it.
kind of, to a certain degree, a proponent of this sort of thought process
Of
like,
not petting puppies? Oh, Kyle. Kyle,
Sorry,
dare
that's
you.
how I
God.
feel, apparently.
You're a pig. Fancy Graham writes in and says, since I'm a teacher, I've been asked a few times what I'm going to be up to this summer. I've been saying that I might be going to Minneapolis in August. Oh, there we go, for the community meetup happening August 9th. Check out Patreon for more details. As such, I've had to explain to a few coworkers and family members what MinnMax is. Sometimes when I'm describing you all as cohorts, it feels like I'm describing characters on a sitcom. Do you agree with that comparison? Why or why not?
Because I'm real.
Is there a description?
That's fair.
How would you
We're all
describe
real.
it?
We're not sitcom characters. I'm here
Yeah,
and alive in Canada.
But the podcasts you love and listen to, don't you kind of think of them as like character, like the sitcom characters are like these consistent people who are like, oh, that's how that person always reacts. That's why it's so funny, and I get that a lot. I guess.
I think the kids just call it being parasocial.
I think that's exactly it. It
I'm
scares me.
parasocial number 1. I be telling people everyone else's business of what I saw on like so-and-so stream.
Yeah. And you said they seem so like this. They really seem like...
Yeah, and I'm like, so yesterday, like so-and-so did this, and then it was
Told
like
me
streamer,
that,
and there was
blah,
streamer
blah.
university into streamer prom, and like, can you believe what's going on between Emily and Agent? Will they get together? Won't they?
That's just gossip. Is that sitcom role? I guess it is kind of like a Ross and Rachel vibe to them, I suppose.
I was just thinking,
No, it is. I mean, and it's like on a recent episode of Blank Check, maybe
Yes.
it's like special features. Like Griffin referenced having like being in a relationship with someone, and Annie, my partner, gasped, who doesn't even listen to Blank
I did
Check, but
too.
just hears me talk about them so much that she was like, Griffin's in a relationship?
Yeah.
So,
I had the
yes.
same reaction.
That's
It's like, and I was doing the timeline in my head. They went to Planet Hollywood for Valentine's Day. I was like,
Right.
it's been going on for this long?
It's not healthy.
Yeah, it's
Unplug,
terrible.
unplug, but I
It's-
totally get it. But also it's like,
I gotta hear what they say about.
I feel like as
movies.
long as you don't go bothering people about it,
right.
I can enjoy your life.
It is
as much
weird
as I want
where
to.
it's like I both I'm friends with all of y'all in like more or less real life, digital real life, but I do also listen
Well, you're
to
so
the
smart and
MinnMax
cool. Like,
podcast
everyone,
and
friends.
Pew Pew Bang, and so like I'll kind of reference things that have been said in a meeting,
right,
or in the podcast in like the same breath.
Yeah,
and
I do that too.
that's a weird kind of parasocial line.
It's actually really helpful, I feel like, because it's like, oh, I get to do the mental math of like, oh, Jacob wasn't on that episode. That means he listened to that episode and he remembered that. So that moment must have stood out for some reason. You know, he wasn't directly engaged with it. So it's fun to try and track where people are getting their MinnMax references from, or like a really dorky thing is somebody like mentions like a MinnMax moment or something. I'm always like, okay, I'm doing the math. I think that person just saw that clip on Instagram because they didn't include the part right after that. So that was the cutoff that I made on the Instagram clip. Like, it's fun.
Is that why you did that post being like, what's an inside joke you like from MinnMax? And then wasn't that you who posted that?
No, that was for some upcoming planning stuff, top secret. That was
a lot of people
idea.
like our Austin Powers. Yeah, baby, yeah.
No one likes that. Nobody.
There was like 4 comments about it.
I deleted every one, even though they weren't on my account.
What the hell?
But Francie, I think it's just like, how often are you describing personalities in general? I guess TV shows, like you got to check out House. He's a wacky doctor. So I don't know, just no matter what, it feels weird, I guess. It's
that sitcom House.
But I don't know, like describing
soap opera.
Describing somebody's personality outside of like trying to recommend a podcast, it's like, you got to meet my friend Steve. He's all like this. I feel like you very rarely fall.
You got to meet my friend Steve. He's a complex and nuanced person.
Exactly.
I couldn't begin to explain his personality.
My brain can't wrap around the fact that someone out there has explained me to somebody.
Right.
What did they say about that?
Weird.
I can't think of that. What did they say?
They
She's
said
a
Haley
lawyer
is so
and
funny and cool, and she's so smart.
Hang on, let me search the
God.
archives for that.
No results.
Mason Cowell wrote in and they said, hey, cohorts, my question is, when do people have the right to be upset at the ending of something? Are consumers entitled to be upset at the ending of a story they didn't create? Like Game of Thrones and Mass Effect? Entitled to be upset.
like taking it beyond the like, oh, I didn't like that. Right?
Yeah.
Like when it's like when you go and complain because you want it to be different, I guess, right?
I mean,
That's the
I feel
line.
like it's the the way that I read this was kind of like, can you ever like tell an author that their story should have ended differently?
Yeah, I think that's the spirit of it. Yeah. And
which I feel like, I mean, yeah, you know, like the be normal about it, obviously, like no harassment. But I do feel like there is, I think it's always so much more kind of interesting, instead of being like, I didn't like that, to be like, why did they make that choice? You know, like, even if I didn't like it, just kind of trying to think through, like, their purpose in doing this was what? Exactly is like, feels better, but like, I don't know, you know, as long as you're not a dick about it, you can dislike the end of everything, right?
okay, all right, I guess so.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree with that sentiment.
Kyle, you being a dick?
Am I being a dick currently?
Correct.
He's being very nice.
No.
Okay, good. I noticed that. Travis and Frogger wrote in. They say, people say that there can't be good Superman video games. Did you ever play that 2006 game, Kyle?
A little bit. Yeah,
Okay.
I played the demo on Xbox 360 we're talking about, based on Superman Returns,
Yeah.
right? And the demo
I
like
played
just
that.
dropped you in the city to fly around.
Yeah.
And I was like, this feels good. Like, this is cool. Like,
I
this
remember
is,
the
like,
Game
going
Informer
really
magazine
fast.
ad for that game.
And then when it came out, the reviews were so negative that I never went back to play it. I never touched it again after playing that demo. I liked the demo.
You played it a lot, Haley?
Yeah, I used to fly around, but my game was glitched and I couldn't save.
Perfect.
And it was, to be fair, it wasn't my game. It was my friend, like the designated friend's house where we all played in their attic. It was their copy of Superman. So in between us playing Twilight Princess, we would sometimes play this, but we could only, like, I don't know what, maybe he was lying to me when he said he couldn't save or something, but I was under the impression we couldn't save. So we restarted at the start where you're in the city every time. We would just fly around.
Do you guys know how big the city was in Superman Returns, the game?
Yeah, obviously.
No.
80 square miles.
Really?
How many kilometers is that?
100.
Was it?
And are you wearing your shoes?
130.
Right now?
So it's just like a version of Metropolis, which is kind of like New York, but it's just an 80-mile long version of.
Well, because you could fly so
28 square
fast,
kilometers?
right? But they
Yeah, I
have
think
a lot
that
of
was. It was
geography.
just like it needed to be big to let you fly around.
Oh, weird.
Makes
they
sense.
They
It's
just
like the
need
Madden
like
developers, wasn't it?
it was. Yep.
Yeah.
That's why John Elway was in it as like the big bad. Anyways, but Travis and Fargo says, by the way, search, we have said the phrase being a dick 7 times on the podcast.
I was thinking that. we got to play those because that's going to be good.
Well, but what if you bleeped it? Do you ever?
I don't think I bleep a dick. Here we go.
I would bleep a dick. Know what I mean?
Oh, hang on. Haley, please. You're lucky I'm going to trim this part out because I need to change the speaker anyway. Okay, and we got this. He gets to be Uncle Bear for being a dick. And is it always me? Situation if you're being a dick to them. So hang on. Every time?
Old age Bill Murray being a dick.
There we go, Jeff.
There's got to be some Jeff. Yeah.
Of course he's talking about Bill Murray being a dick. Anyways, Travis Fargo wants to know.
I think that there is a pretty decent Superman game, and I'm curious if they're going to bring.
They're
one
not.
up.
They're going to pivot. So you got to do it right now or forever hold your peace.
I was reminded by Michael Berry in the chat, but I did actually play this game. The game Megaton Rainfall, a VR game, is really cool and is fully a Superman game, including like you're flying around. You can fly around the entire world. Like it literally is like the whole Earth. And then you can like go into cities and like do it. It's very cool.
And what's it called?
Oh.
Megaton Rainfall.
That sounds great. I remember.
Looking at it now.
I think statute of limitations is up for this, I'd imagine. But I remember going to Twisted Pixel, their studio in Texas in like 2011, and they were talking about how they pitched a Superman game that was going to be like Shadow of the Colossus, where it was just a series of boss fights against like huge Superman enemies. But every boss fight would end with you throwing the enemy into the sun. Like no matter what, you just had to get them up into space and then chuck them all the way into the sun, which I think is the only way.
The
Superman
nuclear
can
man would show up, and you don't want that.
You don't want that at all. Anyways, Travis and Fargo's trying to get their question across. They say people say there can't be a good Superman game, comma, but could there be a good Santa Claus game? Is it possible?
Death Stranding.
Kyle, you're being a dick with that type of insight.
I mean, he can travel the entirety of Australia and the United Cities of America in like, what,
a day,
30 minutes or something.
Yeah. And is there a way to know who's naughty or nice, or are you just giving stuff to everybody no matter what?
There's so few people, like they've gone through so few hardships at this point. Everyone's de facto nice, except for the brigands and stuff who are yellow. Actually, just follow the in-game indicators.
Yeah.
If they have the brigand thing, then they don't get a present.
Naughty nice right
Done.
there. Piece of cake.
Done.
And he's got a bunch of AI legs delivering packages for him, like elves.
Do the BBs get presents?
Wouldn't it be fun though to have like a AAA studio be like, we're making a Santa Claus game? If it was like, hey, Naughty Dog,
come on, Red One, the licensed game.
Yeah, I do think it is kind of that philosophy of like, well, Santa Claus is so well known. Of course, Red One's going to be a hit film if we just make a film starring the biggest character of all time.
I cannot imagine a good version of a Santa Claus game.
Elf Bowling.
Except for Death Stranding.
Elf Bowling, I feel like is the best we could do. No, not to bring up Blank Check for the 14th time this episode, but like, you know, they talked about in the Superman commentary series how the creators of the Superman series back in the 70s, they're like, oh, we need to move on to the next big franchise. We're making Santa Claus the movie in 1985. And I went back and watched that trailer, and it is the most Superman-esque trailer possible for a Santa Claus movie. And the movie looks like hot trash, but it's like, only one man was given the gift of flight, and he's here to save everybody on Earth. It is so dopey. It's delightful. And Santa Claus in that film, Jacob, he was played by the old man Lebowski in Big Lebowski, the guy with the wife.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, fun fact. Ket Parnicus.
He was given a gift to give gifts.
Hang on.
That's what they should have said.
Write the trailer for Naughty Dog's Santa Claus game. Cat Pernicus writes in, and they said, hey, crew, I recently subscribed to a Game Informer physical subscription.
Hey.
Woo.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
And then they literally wrote, hold for applause, cheers got louder. They literally did. Congratulations, Cat Pernicus.
Wow.
They say, please stop, I'm no hero. Just a reminder that subscriptions are open for Game Informer right now. There you go.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Now I don't have to do my plug at the end.
It's pointless.
Borderlands 4.
That's right.
There we go. Graham Jones.
You guys should check out the new digital version of the magazine, though. It's good.
Really?
Yeah. You can just read the whole magazine on the website now, like it always should have been.
And it's you didn't have that before? It was like a weird launcher thing?
I mean, you had to download an app and then download the magazine in the app, which that magazine looked great, but it was like, that's just not how people engage with media today. So now we have, if you are a subscriber, you could just go read the full Borderlands 4 cover story on the website. If you're a subscriber, it's great.
That sounds nice.
That's so smart.
There's a link in the description if you want to check it out, everybody. But if we heard a weird ghostly voice, that was me searching this archive. Sarah, guess how many times we've mentioned Game Informer at MinnMax?
Oh my god.
More or less than blank check.
We've had 300 episodes. Ben averaged today, I think, 2 or 3. So it would be like a mini per episode. I want to say
5,000.
like 500.
We're slacking. Apparently only 686 times.
Oh,
that seems.
I was close.
That seems
right.
Low.
But this is the 300th episode.
You're right.
And you've mentioned Game Informer 600 times. Do the math.
At least at 2 or more at least.
Can you, Ben?
Do
can you
the
search
math and
blank
reflect.
Blank check
my
is a
God.
mere 97 times.
That's far more embarrassing.
It really is.
It really is. I'm always joking that we need to do the Blank Check podcast. Then we're already there. It's done.
It's done. Graham Jones wrote in, they say, I have heard some cohorts say they're planning to play a game for work. This has me thinking, do all cohorts have that distinction between games for fun and for work? How do those levels change those experiences?
I liked this because I wanted to hear your guys' thing. Because I don't really have that distinction. I just play them all and I get to talk about them. But I want to know yours.
It's like when I've got to the point where I know I'm not learning anything more about the game and I keep playing it, that's when I'm playing for fun. So it's like
just in the moment?
No, because it's like it's like I've played like 500 hours of Slay the Spire, and on my next run, I'm not going to like have an insight that I haven't had in those previous 500 hours.
Right.
I just like it.
Yeah, it is always just kind of this little thing in the back of my mind of like, okay, gotta play the new game, gotta play the new game, gotta play the new game. So I guess the only distinction is when it's like fully, there's nothing I could talk about. Like I played some Alex Kidd in the arcade this weekend. Like I guess that's my version
Inspired
of
by
fun.
our tour guide?
Yeah, our tour guide in Brazil was all about Alex Kidd. Bolsonaro and Alex Kidd were her two main guys, I feel like.
It's an odd question, especially because I'm still in a position where I do end up playing and finishing games I don't like again, somewhat recently, right? But I'm like always excited to start every game and see what it's about. So I wonder if there's like a line where if it's like if I just start not liking it, then it's not fun, and then I'm not playing it for fun anymore. I always start playing it for fun, even if it's a game I'm not really looking forward to. I don't know. Yeah, it's tough. I try to be careful about that and do try to draw lines around it if I can. Of like, if I'm working on a review game, even if I'm enjoying it, but it's like after hours, I'm like, well, I should just try to play something that isn't like a professional obligation if I'm a video game. You know?
Yeah. Sarah, do you have a distinction in your mind?
Yeah, well, it's like mine's kind of a weird distinction where like if I've worked on a game,
that's work. Yeah.
And any game that I've worked on, I don't play. Like I love Fields of Mistria. It's my perfect game. But like when I like log off work, I don't boot up Fields of Mistria because I've been playing it all day. Or like even like Xenoblade Chronicles X or like all those other games that I worked on. It's like I have no urge to play them because like I've already seen everything, you know, like the dopamine's gone. There is no surprise. I know everything. Like it's just playing it in a different state. I don't want to.
But it's kind of cool with Fields of Mistria, the fact that it's like still being updated in a huge way and it's on its way to 1.0, right? So it's like, you know everything, but
I know.
But eventually you won't.
Yeah, I do like go in and dig around and stuff, and I'm like, it's gonna be so fun. But
that's cool.
That definitely is like a perk of the job.
Yeah. What do y'all like for question of the week this week?
Those flew by.
I like the like how often we've said things where you found this app. Like did they suggest like looking at that as well, or did you find that?
No, I found that we've used it before. Okay. I think somebody in the community suggested it. But that feels like
I want to like do more of that right now.
Ben. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the question was like, what's the best game you haven't talked about?
Right, which I think is also a good question.
I like that one.
All right, Jonathan Fenn.
I like the Joy-Con one too, though. Just to
I did like the Joy-Con one
throw
too.
my hat in the ring.
That is good.
I felt very seen with that comment.
Hat notice, and I'm going to make you control something with a Duke, Sarah.
You're just
so
gonna
get
make
ready
me
for
hold
that.
uncomfortable controllers.
Yeah. That's exactly
They're all
what
Let's
point.
try to play any game with the Duke controller.
It was fine. I've played hundreds of hours of Halo 1 with that. It's
The
totally
reason they
fine.
like stopped making it and stopped selling it and like made
'Cause
sure
it's
that all new
ugly.
Xbox consoles came with the S controller.
It's ugly and bloated, but your hand's not going to hurt after playing Mario
Do you
Kart for
know
30
how
minutes.
unbearable it was when Nintendo kept releasing those retro mini consoles, and I had to listen to old men by their like childhood nostalgia, and then be like, "It's so tiny, my mayonnaise. I want to play all these games that I could play with free with an emulator, but I paid too much money for it, and now the controller's too small."
Do we have a fourth man on this podcast? I'll be damned. It's like we're there now. All right, now it's time for something that we like to call Get a Load of This.
What did we pick?
It was the Jonathan Fenn, the one about...
Well, we gotta make fanfare about it. I feel like that's
Yeah.
kind of
I don't think we said it.
Jonathan Fenn, you won it. The one about searching the archives, the
Yay!
greatest game.
Get a load of this. We
Fun,
picked
fun.
question of the week.
Hey, get a load of this. I'm not talking about Blank Check, you guys. I'm talking about something that they talked about on Blank Check.
You still said the word
God.
twice,
I'm
so now it's
sorry
two more
for
added to the
having
roster.
passions in life. Good news, everybody. You know how we all saw Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, and you said, that film had some great stuff in it. What happened with the rest of that film? Good news. The Empire spoiler cast is out. They make you pay for this feed now, but they are unbelievable deep dives into the direction of the Mission Impossible series with the director, Christopher McQuarrie. He's been doing them since... God, was it Fallout, I think? And they've just been growing and growing. They talked about Dead Reckoning for like 14 hours. And so they just kicked this off. They have 1 3-hour episode that's up now that's about Final Reckoning. And there's going to be more coming. They kind of trickle it out in a way that it's frustrating.
Yeah, I've felt a little reserved on that because it's like, well, I didn't like Final Reckoning. So do I want to hear the director talk about it for like 3 hours? Because I feel like he's not going to be like, here's why we screwed this up.
Yes, you do, because it's exactly what he talks about. It is fascinating. Like, it is the first 3-hour episode. It is a majority just him talking about what everybody watching that movie is thinking, which is just like, how do we restructure that Act 1 to have it be better? Because I know it doesn't really work. And they talk about all the different versions they had, like test screenings with friends and family where Guillermo del Toro gave his advice for how to clean up Act 1. And he talked about like how Edgar Wright was such a huge component of like offering advice for previous Mission Impossible movies. Like, he's the one who suggested that the entity be blue instead of red and all this stuff. And he said that Edgar Wright was not available this time around because he was filming Running Man. So the reason
That's why it was so screwed up.
wonky, yeah, is he didn't have Edgar Wright's advice. But they said that Guillermo del Toro had the most Guillermo del Toro possible recommendation for Final Reckoning, where he's like, yeah, I like the movie. I think when the entity is destroyed, it should have like a primal scream. I want to hear the entity scream. So, okay, thank you, Del Toro.
He's right.
Yeah, he's right. But he has an interesting comparison where he talks about how he's like, yeah, Final Reckoning, it's like the SR-71 Blackbird, you know, like the fastest plane. If you see it on the ground, it's clunky and there's oil leaking and the parts of the pieces of the plane like don't align. It's only once it gets up to Mach 2 that it becomes streamlined. It becomes like an amazing piece of engineering. He's like, I feel like that is what Final Reckoning is because of Act 1. It's like, all right, that's a good read from the director.
Other movies have good Act 1s and good Act 2s.
I'm not defending the Act 1. I think it's just awesome to have a 3-hour podcast of the director unpacking the problems with Act 1.
That's cool.
Has anybody got something that's not related to Act 1? Of Final
Get
Reckoning?
a load of this. Did you know in Peak that the devs have written a backdoor script so that they can talk to certain gameplay groups through Bing Bong, the little green guy that you can pick up, and it kind of feels like they're hacking your game, but a dev will just start talking to you through Bing Bong and like join your team on the adventure.
That would
so
make me
good.
yeet Bing Bong off of the cliff.
Hi, I'm here to help.
Yeah, like literally. So I saw all these great TikToks of like people picking up Bing Bong and joking around, and then someone just goes, "Hi, I'm Bing Bong," and they're like, "Oh, it's like an AI," but then it's not. It's like a real person being like, "Can I go in your backpack?" They're like, "Bing Bong, say this and prove you're real." He's like, "I'm real. What do you want me to say? I'm literally real." Like, it's like a person talking to them. It's so funny. And I think it's just a luck of the lottery. Like, they just kind of pick random games and jump in as Bing Bong.
That's so good.
I know.
There's a game from the Blackout Club also had that, where they had
Oh,
it. So
cool.
yeah, the developers.
My brain
could jump
immediately
in.
wants to go look at their privacy policy and see if they
Yeah.
effectively cover the data they're collecting when they do that.
Please do.
Get a load of this. There's been a lot of news happening recently, so I don't blame anyone for this falling off the radar. But in Indonesia last week, there was a volcano that exploded. It was Mount Luotobi. And the footage of this volcano explosion is the most insane stuff I've ever seen. It's like if Mount St. Helens blew up and everyone had iPhone quality like cameras in their pocket, and it happened like at sunset, and so you have the most dramatic lighting, and it's just like it's literally like a 7-mile high cloud of ash being lit up by the sunset. I cannot get over how wild it looks. And I think it like a couple people were killed, and that's bad, but it was not. It looks like the world ending, and I think it is actually mostly just kind of a really impressive natural spectacle.
Links below if you're gonna check it out.
Hey, get a load of this. Someone was rooting through the Video Game History Foundation magazine archives, and they found a 2002 issue of Game Informer that featured fan art from Rebecca Sugar, who is the creator of Steven Universe. And, you know, like the initial assumption is like, oh, maybe it's just a coincidence. It's just someone had the same name, etc. But I was able to get in touch with Rebecca Sugar, and they confirmed that it was them who submitted that art. And there's a story on GameInformer.com about that. And I just thought that was really cool.
That's awesome.
So cool.
And then in 2015 is like when their name showed up in Game Informer again, talking about a Steven Universe video game.
Oh, fun.
So it's just a fun thing that I was really excited to be able to confirm with Rebecca Sugar that it was their art. It's very cool.
Who's out there searching for Rebecca Sugar?
I know, but somebody found it. It's so cool.
That's awesome. Sarah, you got one?
Get a load of this. I found a really cool YouTube video that talks about Mario Kart World and where all the toads go when they drive their cars.
Perfect.
Because apparently they don't just. Have you guys seen this?
No.
I've been obsessed. This guy has been following around all the little drivers in Mario Kart World for hours to see where they go. And it turns out it's a lot more complicated than we all originally thought it was. He followed this one toad for like several hours, and then all of a sudden it like pulled over at like the Princess Peach circuit. Get this, you guys, I literally gasped. The toad parked it, got out of it, and then walked over to a warp pipe to like, it was like simulating that he was like going to a race or something.
Wow.
I lost my mind. It's like the little things. And then they followed a toad onto those Rosalina tour buses. And you see them get onto the tour bus. You see them in the bus. Like, they appear inside the windows of the Rosalina tour bus. They go around in a circle for a few hours, and then they all walk off the bus and then go and despawn in a restaurant somewhere. It's just, it's insane to me. I'm obsessed with it.
I love it. That's fun. Links below for all this fun stuff. In the community Discord, Tokyo Game Life shared a story that is, it's just a forum thread that's Sega leaked 6 years of sales numbers for Sonic, Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, Like a Dragon, and Total War.
I saw these.
Yeah, if you want to see the fun
That's
raw
a fat
sales.
leak.
Yeah.
Surprisingly low on Like a Dragon. That was my takeaway. I was like, oh my god.
And high on
sold
Persona.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Persona 5.
I knew Persona was popular, but more than I expected.
So Royal sold 7.2 million. Yakuza Like a Dragon sold 2.8 million.
And Peak sold 1 million, you said earlier?
I think it's
Peak sold
2 million now. Yeah. Total War 3 Kingdoms sold more than Yakuza Like a Dragon. Isn't that fun?
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Crazy. All right. Links below if you want to check out that stuff. That is it for this big episode of the MinnMax Show. Thank you so much for watching, listening, perhaps for 300 episodes. God bless you for sticking around. We have the end of the month coming up here, which means Wall of Heroes, everybody. If you want to support us directly in a big way and get a promotional image rotating through every MinnMax video throughout the next month, the big month of July, you can jump in at the $50 tier. $50 tier on Patreon, and your image will be rotated through the slideshow over 1 million times. So I dare you to beat those numbers, everybody. If you're looking to promote your small business, your podcast, your YouTube channel, cute picture of your pet's face. We don't really have enough of those. They're dwindling. Get those pet faces in there, everybody. $50. Yeah, get your pet seen. 1,000,000 times. That's an option. Yeah, in June, by the way, we promoted it like, hey, it's going to be a big month. But because of Summer Game Fest, like our traffic was up by 40% on YouTube. So, I mean, that was a huge boost for the people that jumped in June. So jump in during the dry month of July is what we're trying to say, everybody. But thank you for everybody that jumps up or tries that Wall of Heroes tier on Patreon. Otherwise, $5 tier, the bonus pod, is available to you every single week. This week, Haley, what do you talk about?
Me and Jacob had a great chit chat about a bunch of different stuff. We talked about nightmares. We talked about Jacob's new book. We talked about 6 more games that Jacob played at Summer Game Fest that were all really cool. One in particular, he picked out that just for me I would love, and I am looking forward to it now, and I've wishlisted it. Very fun.
Yeah, awesome. Unlock Bonus Pod, everybody. It's below the surface, but it's damn good. You'll love it if you listen to it, and it goes right in your favorite podcast app if you support us at the $5 tier on Patreon. Pew Pew Bang, subscribe, help spread the show. Season 1 is done. What time frame are you all sharing for Season 2?
In a month.
In a month-ish type thing.
In a month-ish.
But it's a great time to jump in. Feeling good, Sarah?
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's the whole appeal of the Evergreen. Just if you're just learning about it, just
yeah. And luckily, people are like, "Oh, the episode's 5 hours." Well, you got a month to listen to it, so get started.
Split it up.
Sweet. Shout out to Charles Hart as well for jumping in as the DM or GM. What a hero!
So good.
He's so good at that. But we are doing an Ask Me Anything, an AMA on Reddit, unofficial, just a loose, fun thing. So if you want to jump over to MinnMax's subreddit, you can always follow us over there and engage us. Ask us a question, we'll fire back. That's happening this Thursday, so you got to really jump on it if you're quick with this podcast. So Thursday, June 26th, we'll be doing an AMA, but we'll leave it up, obviously.
Do you have like a start time for when we're doing that? We haven't really talked about it.
Just the morning, whenever works for you. Okay. But that is it. Thank you so much for making this whole outlet possible. Stay tuned next week for a guest cohort reveal and more. We appreciate it. Until the next 300 episodes go by, be good, have fun, let's go.